Well, good morning and welcome to another edition of the Morning Bullring. Here on Monday morning, we get to talk short track racing after everything that happened this weekend. And as you can see, it's just me. It's Case LaJoy up here. No Bob Dillner this morning, unfortunately, but we do have Mark Keeler. We do have Mark Keeler in the house.
Yes,
Mark.
you do. And Tom.
And Tom. Tom's back there as well. So I'm excited. No Bob. Just me. I feel like I'm like crouching down. I'm going to have to bring this thing up. It's early. We're also going to have Zach Evans on the show this morning as well. And thank you guys for joining us, man. It was a packed weekend full of tons of action. We had everything from NASCAR, Bristol short track race in there. Mark, you got to go there.
Yeah, unbelievable race. I can say I've watched on TV most of the races this year, but the racing action yesterday at Bristol, it was short track racing. And that was good to see. They were able to use the high groove, the low groove. They were racing 3 wide. They were bumping and banging. It's always cool when you can see a car with a lot of body damage go to victory lane. And that's what makes it short track racing. So awesome race all around yesterday at Bristol.
Yeah, I don't know how things got switched up to where you were at Bristol. I was at Orange County, but. Nevertheless, Orange County was a great race.
I did that by design.
Yeah, somehow we got switched, and you got to watch Corey get wrecked and break a sway bar arm in half, and it was probably fun stuff.
Yeah,
it was good.
Yeah, he got some airtime just because he was involved in that wreck with Chase Elliott when Chase was leading. So
yeah,
but he managed to get on TV, get a little bit of TV time. Probably not for the right reasons, but
no, of course not.
But any publicity is good publicity.
That's right. That's right. So. Sponsors like to see the car on camera. Either way, I got to go to Caraway on Saturday. Saw the SMRS mods race there. Man, it was brutal. I don't know if you saw, Mark. Eight modifieds, not great. Had some quality modifieds. John Smith got the win, but I think if for the Orange County race, we saw this weekend. Zach's here too, but we're not going to bring him on yet. I think he's a little too
still
nervous.
working.
I think he's a little too nervous this morning. Orange County produced some great racing. So if there's some modified guys that are watching right now and you're on the fence about going to Orange County, go. Renee Hackett's doing a great job to supply that short track racing down here in the South.
And I'll say this to some of the modified drivers that were upset when NASCAR did not do away with the Southern Modified Tour. They combined it with the Northern Tour.
Yep.
And people that may have been upset or, we want to go racing. Well, the only way that races are going to continue to be scheduled and to be had is if you show up.
Right.
So if you're not there, honestly, if you're not there at the track and then you don't really have a voice as far as I'm concerned.
Right.
It's the people that are supporting it that I think, and like you said, Renee and Darren Hackett are working their butts off. They've got the PRA tours with the late models now, too, the 602 Modified Tour, which I think is good for people that want to do the open wheel modifieds, but on a little bit more of a budget, and of course, the SMRS. So everybody was upset when the Southern Modified Tour kind of went away, even though it was combined. Well, if you don't want to see that happen to another series, go out and support it. It's really that simple.
Yeah, and that was, a lot of the drivers, Jeremy Gerstner and Tim Brown, John Smith, all those guys, they were just, we need people here. We need people to race. And they had a great race. I guess I didn't know this until this weekend. They changed tire compounds, I guess, for SMRS. I think it's a harder compound, and it provided some great racing. They were able to go pretty much wide open the whole way. It wasn't a whole lot of cruising. It was drop of the green flag. They were going. I got to go to Caraway there and recorded a bunch of highlights for Tom Ryan on his 51 Network.
Tom's been busy this morning.
Tom has been busy this morning.
Yeah, he's been playing on Twitter.
Look at this. Who's that?
That's me becoming famous.
Yeah, I see it.
I
know the guy on the right.
I like the 51 hat right there, getting Speed 51 some screen time.
You think
on
he did that on purpose or what?
I don't know, because there wasn't a lot of people in that turn as far as photographers go. There was me and I think 2 other photographers in turns 1 and 2, so I was kind of surprised when I never even saw it. I wasn't on Twitter at all yesterday, and then Patrick Hahey texted me last night and said, "Were you at Bristol shooting it?" And I said, "Yeah, why?" And he said, "Bobby Labonte profiled you." And I had to go look up what he was talking about, because that text could have been taken a couple different ways.
Yeah.
But no, like I said, just great racing. I watched the first half from inside turns 1 and 2, and then the last half from I guess it would have been turns 3 and 4, more like turn 3. But yeah,
It's
I
always
also,
so loud, man. It's
it,
always so loud in there.
that's a wrong button.
That's the wrong button. That
There we go.
happens. That's
There's
me.
Casey.
And
But yeah, and man, you got 2 asphalt tracks. I got 2 dirt tracks in
Right.
Bristol.
Right.
And I've got to say, for my 100th racetrack, Bulls Gap in Tennessee did not disappoint. The Ultimate Series there, out of all the late model races or dirt late model races I've seen the last few years, that was by far my favorite and the best. The cars could just go anywhere on that track at the drop of a dime. And man, what a show they put on! That was incredible. So that was a lot of fun.
I would compare Bulls Gap probably to it's like that is the version of, or I guess the asphalt version of Bulls Gap would be Orange County, because the racing there was spectacular. They were up in the third lane, down on the bottom. It kind of got a cluster towards the middle. There was some cautions and not really any real drama, other than just some cut tires and mischiefs on restarts and things of that nature. But other than that, I mean, the racing at the end was spectacular between Josh Berry and Pulliam and all your usual suspects. We'll get to that later. We're going to need you guys on social media to help us out. No Bob Donor. Bob Donor's great at creating content, and I am not. So if
what are you trying to say?
Yeah, I'm not a professional.
I know somebody else who's actually pretty good at creating content, and he's actually on the phone with us.
How about that? Yeah, Brandon Paul on the hotline. I don't even know which hotline it is this morning. Do we know? We don't know what hotline. We're just going to go with it. It's PFC Brakes.
Yeah.
When all else fails,
it's the PFC Brakes hotline.
Performance Hotline, I think. So, Brandon Paul, good morning. How are you this morning?
I'm doing good. Kicked off the Northeast racing season this weekend with the icebreaker at Thompson, and now I guess it's pretty fitting that you look outside and it's snowing here this morning. So hopefully we don't get too much, because we have another big weekend on tap with the Pass and an American Canadian Tour doubleheader at Oxford this Sunday. But I think it'll warm up and melt this snow pretty quick. But excited to get the season started this weekend at Thompson. Condog was in the house at Thompson, and was excited about his modified. So a good weekend for Northeast racing fans.
Yeah, man. That I haven't been to the icebreaker. I really want to go, but
you've never been to the icebreaker?
No.
Well, I guess
my
you're not
family's
really
from Connecticut.
Yeah.
I've never been. Man, run us through that. I mean, they got all sorts of action going on all weekend long. Talk about what your favorite parts of the icebreaker is.
I think it's just the number of, or the different divisions that you get a chance to see. I mean, obviously Connecticut is known as modified country. I mean, Stafford, home of the SK modifieds. Thompson has the Sunoco modifieds, and in Waterford as well with the SK modifieds. So obviously they have a rich history with modifieds, but for this weekend, it's just seeing all the different cars. I mean, from mini stocks to limited sportsmen to the NEMA midgets to pro trucks. And then, of course, the Pro All-Star Series super late models and the NASCAR Wheel and Modified Tour is the headliner of the weekend with 150 laps that they had last night. It was a great weekend of racing. A little bit of drama yesterday. It looked as though Doug Colby was going to knock off Justin Bonsignor, who had previously won 4 straight NASCAR Wheel and Modified Tour races at Thompson. Colby was on fire all weekend. Fastest in the first 2 practice sessions, the only 2 practice sessions. Fastest in qualifying, and he really dominated the opening stages of that race yesterday. But they came down pit road. I think it was about lap 105, and Colby left pit road as the leader, and then they're circling the track under caution, and all of a sudden Colby drops to the bottom and doesn't maintain speed with the pace car, and Justin Bonsignor inherited the lead. Basically what happened, Colby ran over an air hose on pit road, so NASCAR sent him to the end of the line. And what really hurt him, because he still had a fast race car and could have won, but what hurt him was that he went behind all of the lap cars as well. which he had set a torrid pace out front, and I think there were 13 or 14 cars on the lead lap at the time. So he started way back, had to battle through traffic, and he did come back to finish fifth. But that allowed Justin Bonsignor to inherit the lead, and he just kind of took control from there and won his record. Nobody has ever done this before. His record, fifth straight NASCAR Wheel and Modified Tour race at Thompson Speedway Motorsports Park. So pretty interesting storyline there for the NASCAR Wheel and Modified Tour.
Yeah, that a lot of drama there, and sounds a lot like kind of what happened to Brad Kay at Bristol this weekend. Just some technicality stuff, and unfortunate for Doug Coby. They've been working hard this year. I mean, seeing them at Speed Weeks and how fast they were really out of the gate, and you can certainly tell they've been putting in the work. But I want to jump off racing for just a second. It wouldn't be a morning with Brandon Paul and the El Capitano of the editorial staff of Speed 51 if we don't talk about a little bit of side sports. We have the NCAA, the men's basketball titles coming up. Virginia and Texas Tech. Who you picking, Brandon?
Well, can we just be honest and admit that really nobody cares about college basketball once Duke is eliminated?
Oh, come on.
No, I mean, honestly, look at the ratings. But I don't know. I mean, it's going to be an interesting game. I've seen a lot of people saying if you didn't like the Super Bowl this year, which was the defensive battle, then you're probably not going to enjoy tonight's game with two defensive teams. But I don't know. I don't really have a favorite. I'd like to see the upset with Texas Tech beating Virginia. I think Virginia is probably most people's favorite, but I just hate this. The start of the game isn't until like 9:20 p.m. on a weeknight. I was complaining about that to Connor this weekend, but yeah, no, let's we'll see what happens. But yeah, nobody cares about college basketball as much once Duke is eliminated.
Well, I'm going with Virginia because I hope Virginia keeps the title with the ACC, and that'll keep proving that the ACC is the most dominant basketball conference all across the country. Do you agree?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think it's hard to disagree with that unless you're Connor. Connor absolutely hates the ACC.
I mean, he hates it because
Connor hates anything that's not UConn.
That's right. That's not women's UConn basketball.
Well, and I'll give him credit there because the women's UConn basketball has been, let's say, bad to the bone for how long now?
The problem is they lost this weekend, though, too. So I think the dynasty's over.
So now that just means we have to call Connor then.
Yeah, we're going to definitely call Condog later, get his raw emotion.
But, Brandon, so you just kicked off the racing season with the Icebreaker. What's coming up next for you guys?
Well, yeah, we have the PASS Pro All-Star Series North heads to Oxford Plains Speedway for the first time this year. Obviously, that's important leading into the Oxford 250 in August. They always get a great car count pass when they visit Oxford. That kind of has become their home track, so to say, with a lot of the local guys that run weekly plus touring guys, and then the people coming to get some notes and information for the Oxford 250 later in the year. And then you also have the American Canadian Tour, the double header, and that's going to be the season opener for ACT. They raced at Richmond, but that was a non-points counting event. So this will kick off the points campaign, and it's shaping up to be an interesting year for ACT. A couple of guys coming back to run more often, I should say, with Wayne Helliwell, former champion, as well as Joey Pohl. Not sure if Pohl's going to be running full-time, but he is going to be running a handful of events this year. So that's definitely going to be an interesting show. 2 150-lap races, 300 laps of late model racing. It's definitely going to be a good show.
I'm kind of disappointed in you, Brandon. You're the only person I know that can rattle off Joey Pohl's name without like skipping a beat, his entire last name, and you just went with the standby of Joey Pohl.
It's early.
Yeah, well, I think most people probably know him by Joey Pohl because I think it was actually Matt Buckler at Thompson this weekend. He was discussing Joey Pohl for some reason, and And he said that most people call him Joey Pole for obvious reasons, meaning that they don't know how to say Polowarczyk.
Well, I can tell you the first time we got an entry form back when I was at New Smyrna, and it had his name, and I on the entry forms I used to put a place for them to fill out their name, and then below that I would have phonetic spelling, and he left that blank. So we actually called him and said, okay, before I mean this was in like November.
Yeah.
But we said, before we go any further, how do you pronounce your last name? So we didn't sound like idiots up there. And he's actually told me, he said, just go with Joey Pole. He said, when all else fails, go Joey Pole.
By the way, Mark, you offended Connor because Connor Sullivan said, hey, I said Joey Pole's name in full on the show last week. So
I wasn't listening to Connor. So
it's brutal.
I think the chair might have
squeaked.
I think the chair might have made it so you didn't hear that full name. That he was struggling with that chair.
Well, we'll get Connor on a little bit later to catch us up to date on some of the other news and happenings. So I'll give him another shot at it to get Joey Poles. And I do have to ask you though, because I've heard for 2 weeks in a row now people say Helliwell. Is it Hellowell or Helliwell? Because I grew up knowing it as Hellowell.
I mean, I don't know. It's one of those things, like, I feel like people, like, go back and forth on, like not to bring up hockey, like, but Brad Marchand for the Boston Bruins. And he even changed the way this year that he pronounces his name when he gave the sheet to the announcer. So I usually say Hellowell, but Marco Thomas, I know when he races pass races, he becomes Helliwell. So yeah, I think it's just one of those things. You just got to pick one and go with it. Maybe we'll ask them. Maybe that's what we need to do. Just go around and ask some of these drivers how they pronounce their name. I know Alex Labbe. That's another one that's often discussed.
I think we need to take the Speed 51 network cameras around at all these races, and for some of the names, have them not only tell us how to actually pronounce it once and for all, so we have it recorded,
right,
but also tell us their favorite mispronunciations of their last names, because I'm sure they've run the gamut up and down the East Coast and in Canada and the Midwest and all that. I think that'd actually be pretty funny.
Connor Okrezik probably has some good ones.
Yeah,
if I had to guess.
Well, as Bob would say, his name looks like an eye chart. But yeah.
Well, Brandon, gonna go back and touch on some things from last week. We didn't really hit on it on the show. But it was kind of some info that had come out after the show was with the Southern Super Series. And they're giving away tires to teams that stay loyal and drivers that stay loyal to the series. Talk a little bit about that, and also we'll hit on the Cars Tour here in just a second as well.
Yeah, I mean, last week on last week's show we had Casey Roderick on. Roderick had an Instagram post, basically just kind of discussing the current state of late model racing in America. And it's been a topic of discussion a lot this year, where we're at, what's going to happen moving forward. You got the body debate, and then you have the Hamner engine deal. So a lot of discussion going on, but I also think it's important to note some of the good things that are going on. And with the Southern Super Series, Tim Bryant of the Southern Super Series and Hoosier Racing tires have teamed up to provide 8 free tires at every Southern Super Series race this season. So 10 races. That's a total of 80 tires. So basically what they're doing is at each event they're going to have a drawing. And the drawing is going to be the teams that are there that also participated in the previous event. And what they're going to do is they're going to draw 4 names out of a hat. And all 4 of those drivers are going to receive 2 free tires for that event. So 8 tires at each event. Jeremy Pate, Kyle Plott, Casey Roderick himself, and Anthony Sergi, they were the ones who received the 2 tires at Five Flag Speedway for the last Southern Super Series event. So it was kind of ironic. And we have a story about that on Speed 51 with quotes from Casey Roderick and some of the drivers that received those, just offering some positive feedback on this move by the Southern Super Series to give back to racers a little bit. And then, of course, you mentioned the Cars Tour. With their Touring 12 program, they're offering a lot of incentives to drivers as far as the drivers that enter that Touring 12, discounts on entry fees, guaranteed appearance money, no less than $1,000 to start a Cars Tour race. And then, of course, they're also doing the thing with merchandise where they're creating merchandise, selling it at the track, and then the driver receives a share of that profit on the merchandise sales. So there are a lot of good things that these promoters are doing throughout the country to give back to racing teams. The ARCA Midwest Tour for the Joe Shear Classic coming up at Madison on May 5th. Teams that enter, I believe it's the first 40 teams that pre-enter receive 4 free tires for that race. That's one I'm excited about. I'm actually going out there. My first trip to Wisconsin and my first ARCA Midwest Tour race. But yeah, it's just interesting where you have all this talk but you also have the promoters really trying to work with teams and give back and show their appreciation for the race teams that are coming and supporting them.
Right. Yeah. Usually, the promoters take the most heat, and they hardly get praised. They more than likely get bashed. And it's cool to see, Regal and McNeely and also Tim Bryant with Southern Super Series really try to reach out to these drivers and show them that they care. They care about the common short track racer, and they want to give back as much as they can, but also, the promoters got to make money as well. They're doing this. This is their living. This is their livelihood. So it's an all-around, this sport has ups and downs all around, and everybody needs to, be able to make their own living. But on that note, Brandon, it was good to have you on this morning. I'm sure we'll be calling you again before this is over. So stay on your toes, especially if something happens with Connor, which it usually does. It's Con Dog. Stay on your toes. Brandon, thanks for coming on this morning.
All right. I'll be ready.
All right, good. You better. All right. Well, it's 7:23 in the morning, and Brandon just hung up. Mark,
Oops.
you're supposed to turn that down.
I'm supposed to mute that before they hang up so it doesn't come across.
It's a little early. It's fine. We get a pass. But we're going to take a quick break, and coming up on the other side, we're going to have the Hillbilly Deluxe. Stay tuned here on Speed 51 on the Morning Bullring.
Series is back for 2019. With the strongest field of drivers in series history, every race will be a knockout, door-to-door battle to the championship. Don't miss the best late model veterans, up-and-comers, and former champs compete in the nation's top dirt track racing. Be there for all the action April 6th at North Georgia Speedway. For more info, call 762-231-9550 or visit northgaspeedway.com.
Speed 51's video network, where the battles are legendary. Get the full picture on short track racing. We'll take you behind the scenes.
He's just a meathead. He's always the same way.
Your track, your driver, your sport, your passion. Dirt, late models, modifieds, and more. Race highlights, recaps, interviews, and thousands of on-demand videos. Speed 51 Network. Short track racers' home for the best video coverage.
Hey race fans, download the new Speed51.com app today. Breaking news, feature stories, the Unfiltered podcast, live race coverage, schedules, and more right at your fingertips. Download it today on iTunes and the Google Play Store.
Welcome back to the Morning Bullring. I think I heard Tom Ryan say episode 14?
14 weeks.
Man, it does not feel like 14 weeks. I guess I haven't been here for all of them. So.
No, you skipped out on a couple.
Yeah, but
it's
so
about
is Bob.
Yeah, it's about time Bob gets a day off. This is his first one that he's not here, so.
No, he missed one. I remember me and Alan Dietz had to do one.
That's right, you did.
Yeah, so
I think I'm the only one that hasn't missed one then.
Well, if you're not here, the show kind of doesn't get switched.
No, we're gonna train Zach back here so he can do all this, all the buttons and everything. Plus, we got Tom back here.
Tommy.
So, say hi, Tom.
Tom.
Nope, Tom hasn't missed
Tom
one
hasn't
yet.
missed one either.
So
I've
no,
missed
we're
more than a
gonna
few.
get Zach back here so that Zach can help out, and then you never know, because eventually you're never gonna know who you're gonna tune in on Facebook on a Monday morning at 7:00. You're gonna see that morning Bullring logo, and then you're gonna have no clue who it's gonna be. We're just gonna surprise you.
I think one morning we should just play a prank and just put completely different people all in here. We'll just fly in Brandon and Connor, and we'll get the Canfields here, and we'll let them do the show, and they'll be like, "Where's Bob? Where's Mark?
If we
who
do
is this
that,
crew?"
we get to stand back here and
just laugh.
Yeah, because they like to pick on us
Yeah.
for all the mistakes.
And
but,
we get Patrick. Hey,
yeah,
on the show.
we'll get Patrick in. So
Well, we should get him on today. We could. He's been very active on the Facebook page.
He is definitely watching.
Yeah. Morning, Patrick. Hey. Well, Zach Evans here. First time at the, I guess this is like the desk of greatness.
that would be a desk.
Wow, that is
Welcome.
You really set the bar high with the desk of greatness.
And somehow I stay in my chair and you got the boss man's chair. I think that's the comfier
It's a
chair.
height issue.
I mean,
Yeah.
technically, if you come into the baseball game after the starting pitcher gets shelled for 7 runs in 4 innings, you're still sharing the same mound. I don't think that means I'm on Bob's level. I'm just in his chair.
You're
Well,
closer to his height, though.
you are.
and that was key. In
Yeah, we couldn't put you in this chair.
absolutely not.
I like your shirt, by the way.
Absolutely. Canes going to the playoffs for the first time in a decade.
Yeah.
I was a freshman in college the last time the Canes were in the playoffs, and I am decidedly not that anymore.
You're old, dude.
Yeah. So
Well, speaking of old people, no, I'm just kidding. Matt Long is on the PFC Performance Hotline this morning. Matt, first time caller. You're probably working this morning, aren't you?
On the way there. On the way there now.
On the way there. Well, thanks for coming on the morning Bullring. First of all, congratulations on your win. Fast track season opener at Toccoa.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for having me on. And it was a good night down in Georgia.
Saw that you had a new paint scheme on that machine. Talk a little bit about that, and you think that brought you some good luck?
Yeah, I think so. So I'm from Ohio originally, and my grandparents on my dad's mom and dad started racing sprint cars in the 50s. My dad started racing in the 70s, late models. The other side of the family tree, the grandparents pretty much took me to every race he was ever in. So, it was, we've had a lot of different schemes over the years, and it was just time to, kind of pay tribute to that and go back to the orange and the white. And so we did, and so far so good.
yeah, that was definitely a sharp-looking car on the track, Matt. And on the track, you were facing some stiff competition. You had Peyton Freeman up there, the defending fast track champion, Matthew Nance. Carson Ferguson was getting up there towards the end. He won their East Coast Rumble last year. Talk about that stiff competition, and even though you led a lot of laps, but it was not easy for you.
No, I don't get to race at Toccoa very much, so you don't know where the racing group is going to lead or move to when you're leading. And Freeman's car was really good and was able to get the lead on the start, and then just guys giving me signals under the caution and seeing where everybody was at. Matt, Nance, and Jensen, and Freeman, and Carson, all those guys. I just didn't know if I was running the right line. And I watched the video, your guys' video, and saw that they kind of moved up at the end of the race there. And so, I race with those guys a lot and race hard and clean and rub a little bit every now and then. And so it's a lot of fun.
Hey, Matt, that track down there at Toccoa, it was my first time seeing it, and it looks deceiving because when you first walk in the place, it looks like it's really narrow, and you wonder, can they even race here? It's a 5/16 mile, super high bank, but then once you guys get on it, you guys are fanning out 2 and 3 wide. Talk a little bit about that track and what makes it so special.
Well, I think it's just it's the D shape of it. I mean, if you look at the overhead of it, it's almost a cold circle. I mean, and I thought the same thing the first time I ever went there. I was like, well, there's no way we could even be too wide around here. And it's probably one of the raciest tracks that in North Carolina, South Carolina, and Georgia that we go to, where the track changes, it slows down, the groove changes, and it's just deceiving because of the banking. When you look at it from the stands, it looks narrow. You don't get to see and then when you're out there, you roll out on the track, and it's twice as wide as you thought it was.
Man, you talk about the stands. Talk about how packed. I heard the crowd there was spectacular.
Yeah, they do. When I was there last year, they had a great crowd, and this year, being the opener, I guess, and they're right on top of the track too. That's one of the unique things I noticed, like standing on the front stretch, and I saw a lot of kids. They were cheering and standing up on the four wides, and they were just really into it. They had a lot of energy.
And one of the things I think a lot of fans, especially our fans, were excited about leading up to the race, which we broadcasted on Speed 51. If you're a premium member, go back and check that replay out. But you had a face you're probably not used to seeing on the dirt, Bubba Pollard out there. What was it like to get to race with one of the asphalt guys out there at Toccoa?
No, it was great. We lined up side by side for the heat race, and I wish it would have been pitted near him. I've never got to meet Bubba, but I was surprised, and when we rode out there and qualified, and I saw him. So that's neat. I've watched a lot of his races on your guys' stuff, and he's a heck of a racer, and that was a lot of fun.
So, Bubba, coming from the asphalt, I'm mainly, I grew up as an asphalt fan, but you race on dirt, but you actually work in asphalt or pavement racing, I should say. Tell us a little bit about, Casey mentioned you're on your way to work, and tell us a little bit about what you do full-time in your full-time job, because you try to keep it in the racing circle.
Yeah, so I work at Charlotte Motor Speedway, and I run the corporate sales department, and which we handle the revenue generation for the big track, on the asphalt side, the NHRA over there, ZMAX Dragway, and the dirt track, the dirt track Charlotte. So, we had the auto fair events. So any and all events at Charlotte that happens in one of the three facilities, then we're in charge. My department does all the premium seating, suites, sponsorships, all that.
So how did that work this weekend? Because I know down there at the Speedway they had auto fair this weekend. So that made probably a bit busy weekend for you before you ever got to the racetrack, right?
Yeah, auto fair it's a big deal. It's a huge event, and I work. You just work it out with your guys. We don't have a lot of for auto fair. You don't sell a lot of suites. You don't sell. It's mainly just a title sponsorship, and then we. So it's a little bit lighter of an event than some of the others for us. So we worked till about noon and left, and got caught in traffic in Spartanburg, and was really late to the track. So.
Yeah, I hear you, and I probably should apologize, not for myself, but I know you got to deal with my dad a lot, and that's probably not fun whenever it comes to these dirt track races. And so yeah, I just want to apologize for you having to deal with my father.
No, that's all right.
Well, Matt, what's next for you? Or where are we going to be seeing you racing? Are you going to any different events that you hadn't been to this year?
No, we're going to hit the big fast track races. The just any crate race in the southeast, or we're up into West Virginia. I had a race near home once or twice a year up towards Ohio, and so we'll hit the everything will be aiming for that 50,000 to win the world championship in September at VMS. Our next race, I don't exactly know where it's going to be, but it'll either be to Virginia if we can pull that off. But I have a work commitment. We might not be able to do that, so we might not race back until May. But pretty much any of the bigger races in the southeast, whether it be fast track or another series, we try to hit them.
Well, congratulations this weekend, Matt. I know it's been a long time coming for you, and hopefully we'll be talking to you again here soon. Thanks for coming on the Morning Bullring this morning.
No, guys, thanks for having me, and good luck with the show. And I heard you say 14 episodes in, so that's great.
Yeah, I know. We're not rookies, but I still feel like a rookie. Zach is a rookie, but I'm going to give him props. Zach has turned his mic on at the right times more than Bob has in the past, 2 weeks.
I don't have to throw $1 in the jar yet.
Yeah, not yet, but it's coming. Well, thank you, Matt. That's Hillbilly Deluxe, one of my favorite nicknames in all of short track racing. But man, he's an awesome person to see. I don't know if you've ever actually seen him working at Charlotte Motor Speedway, just working his butt off out there. You ever gone to Charlotte and seen him out there just working?
So, confession. Since I just moved down here, I was back home.
I guess you're a bad person.
I'm still pretty fresh on the whole Charlotte scene. The last time I had been to the Speedway was the Fall Cup race in 2006. That was a fun time for me and my dad because we're Mark Martin fans, and that was the night that J.J. Yaley decided he needed to pit from the third groove. So, yeah, that was not a good time.
Yeah, Zach just moved to Concord. We're in Concord from basically Raleigh. Where was it? Where was it that you were living? You're not too far from Southern National.
I was actually about 30 minutes from east of Southern National, or I guess southeast. I lived in a little town called Princeton, North Carolina, that nobody's ever heard of. Made the news last week.
What'd they do?
They're
losing their minds that they lost you.
They had a little incident with somebody getting shot by the police after getting pulled over for going 96 in a 55.
Oh man, that's just daily. I mean,
no, it's not up there.
That's how fast Zach drives every single morning.
You called me cautious on the air, and now you're gonna try and say I was going 96 in a 55.
I'll update.
That's bold.
I'll update. Zach's driving has gotten better. He's scared. He's not scared to do maybe a little 9 over, and if somebody's digging like 82, he'll dig with him.
Somebody dug past us on 85 on the way back.
There's
home.
a couple people that just don't care.
That person had to be going at least 100.
Yeah. That happens. That happens to the best of us. I'm trying to figure out. Mark Keeler does not have anybody on the phone yet, so it's just you and me coming.
I'm working on it, Case.
He's working on it. Listen,
we're trying a new system here. We're going to try to get multiple phone calls at the same time.
Yep.
So that's kind of what I'm working on behind the scenes here.
Well,
you guys just keep talking.
Technology is hard sometimes.
Zach, I'll tell you what you can talk about right now, real quick.
Absolutely.
What's up?
Zach is a late model stock guy at heart.
Yes,
you guys were both at Orange County yesterday. $30,000 to win. So talk about that.
Man, that was a great race.
That was an awesome race, an awesome finish. And I'll be honest, I will be the first person to admit from seasoned experience at the Valley Star Credit Union 300 at Martinsville.
Seasoned.
I mean, don't get me wrong. I am not, taking a dump on the event at all because it's one of my favorites every year, and I'd be upset if I didn't get to go again this year. But sometimes you get to the end of that race and you put $25,000 in a grandfather clock in front of some guys, and
their brains go.
Yeah, because the hard-headed racer kicks in instead of the I still have to fix this at the end of the night.
Right.
And I definitely thought when we had the caution with 10 to go with Timothy Peters, unfortunately, having his tire go down and pounding the outside wall in turns 1 and 2.
Which I got, Tom Ryan. I got
That'll
that
be on the network.
On B-roll.
That'll be on the network.
I was very proud of that.
That you nailed that shot.
I did.
I saw the footage.
About time.
I was one of those where I was
nuts.
getting it, and I was watching Timothy just KO the fence, and I'm like, oh, that one did not tickle.
No, it was a good lick.
Yeah.
It was a good lick. But set up a 10-lap to go restart, and I figured, this has got to be a disaster.
Yeah, this was
here.
the point where every photographer stood in turn 1.
Yes.
Every photographer that was there was standing in turn 1 waiting because you had guys on old tires that were in the mix, and then guys on 2 new right sides, basically. And it had all of the usual suspects, not suspects, but usual ingredients.
Right.
For it to become a show that you would normally see at Martinsville. But I think 2 things saved it. I think 1, the quality of drivers that were racing up front.
Absolutely.
And 2 is just Orange County in general. That track offers a lot of room to race. It's not one groove like Martinsville.
Absolutely. And the funny thing is you mentioned that because it is absolutely a racier track and you have a lot more room to work side by side. But from the drop of the green flag, guys were leaning on each other. And that kind of surprised me because of how roomy it is and racy at Orange County. But you could tell from the start that intensity was there for that $30,000 payday. People, I mean, from the start, you would look through the field after 50 laps and you saw guys with the white wall already wiped off the tires and donuts all up and down the sheet metal. I mean, you knew nobody was there just messing around. They all wanted that $30,000.
That's what makes it short track racing, and I think that's what makes it so exciting is to see guys leaning on each other.
Oh, absolutely.
And I think in recent years we've gotten away from that, and I'm not talking about late model stocks, super late models, pro late models, and I think we touched upon it a little bit last week too. But when you have racers that can race with each other and lean on each other, that whole 8 wheels turn better than 4. That's what gets the butts in the seats, and that's what the fans want to see. So I think it's great that to see them doing that right from the get-go. with the big payday. That's what makes it exciting.
I'm from a standpoint of I hear what you're saying, Mark, about how late model stocks they definitely lean on each other a lot more. But I think it's because they can. Like, I was standing in 1 and 2 almost the whole race, and you could literally watch, like, Taylor Gray go in there and give the boot to Brandon Pierce, and then they just dirt track it the rest of the way through the corner. That happens in a super late model, and, they're probably going around and their stuff's in the fence. There's not a lot of – I don't know what it is, super late model racing. Maybe it's because they go so fast. But if there is a little bit of contact, man, it usually doesn't end well. It's more of a knee-jerk reaction to those super late models versus what it is to those late model stocks. I think late model stocks are a lot heavy. I mean, they're older, heavier. They're just more of a tank versus a super late model, which is more of like an Indy car nowadays. But I think we don't. I thought we're trying to get Condog on the line. And of course, like I said, Brandon Paul.
Switching it up. We have somebody we have to get on before 8:00 for school.
Oh, okay. So. And I think he's watching.
Dang kids.
I think he's watching. So here in just a second, we will have on this next guest. But we can still banter about Orange County. And I was under the assumption that's like first place paid 30 and like second place paid nothing. But like apparently the entire purse was close to
like $12.50 to start.
Close to like $90,000 for everything.
When I talked to Chris Regal for this for the story about the loyalty program, he mentioned as an aside in that story that the total purse for the Old North State Nationals, easy for me to say.
Hold on, Regal, can we work on like condensing that to an easier title, please?
Yes, please. As you just saw, it's hard for not smart people to say, but. The total purse was in the neighborhood of $80,000 for that race.
Yeah, that's outstanding. So
awesome.
Hey, Casey.
Deal.
Yeah. First time caller on the PFC Performance Hotline. Finally, Mark did something right the past 15 minutes. We have Colby Howard on the line, won the Show Me the Money Pro Late Model race at Montgomery. First of all, Colby, I want to tell you, when we were getting you lined up on the show and put Mark on the spot,
oh, great.
We were putting Mark on the spot, and, Brandon Paul's texting us, all right, we got Colby Howard lined up, and Mark goes, who is that?
In my defense, I was driving at the time, and I hadn't made the name connection yet. So,
well, Colby, congratulations on your win this weekend. I know it's definitely not an easy feat to beat Casey Roderick at Montgomery, man, and you did it.
Yeah, no, thanks guys for having me on. Yeah, that was definitely a big win. I'm still speechless about it. I really don't know what to say. I knew Casey and Augie, they were going to be big heavy hitters there. Probably the two hardest ones to beat there and pass probably. But, I just listened to Anthony and my spotter Bruce, and we got it done.
Yeah, I saw that you have some ARCA starts with Mason Mitchell Motorsports. Where did the relationship with Anthony Campy come along, and where did that develop? I mean, those race cars have really been on fire the past couple months.
Yeah, it actually came around last year, middle of the last racing season. We were racing late model stocks, and we got hooked up with them and decided we were going to do something this year. So we kind of cut the racing out last year, just to keep on doing this with Anthony.
Well, and you're with, like Casey said, the hottest team right now in late model racing, especially in the southern region between Giovanni Bramani and now yourself. And one of the few cars that has beaten Casey Roderick in the last 2 years at Montgomery was Giovanni in that 81 car, and now you. What is so special to you? As Casey said, you worked with Mason Mitchell Motorsports. You did some late model stock racing. To you, what's so special about what Anthony Campy has put together in that stable for those 81 cars to be so competitive, not only just right out of the gate, but against the best of the best?
Yeah, those cars are really top-notch cars. Anthony really knows what he's doing. But that whole deal, it's just like a really big family. It's not. It's just not like a racing, like hard, like paycheck. Like they're not out there for the paycheck. They're out there to win that race and to be a family out there. And I mean, Gio was down at the race. He was down there helping us out with everything, talking to me, because he drove the car last year. So I had a lot of help going into that race with Anthony and everybody.
So going into the race, knowing you obviously had the team behind you that had a chance to win the race, did you like your chances going in, or were you more thinking, all right, let's see how we stack up against these guys, and then if we're there at the end, we'll mix it up?
During practice, I thought we'd have a pretty good car. I knew we'd have a really good long run car, but when we mock up, the times weren't there. So I was getting kind of worried about qualifying because that's how we got wrecked out in the 200. I messed up my qualifying. We had a late race restart, kind of took us out. But yeah, I was a little worried about qualifying, but somehow we pulled a pretty good lap out. Ended up on the pole and redrew a 2. I think we got around Casey around like lap 4, something like that. We just stayed out. I was matching my times with him just to stay in front of him. But yeah, the car just stayed together really good all night long. It's really just Anthony in my ear, and Bruce, my spotter, was helping me out, telling me what to do, when to do it, and stuff like that.
Well, Bob Donor is awake. I don't know if you guys have looked at the Facebook, but he's been firing off a couple comments. Said that, Colby, you really ran well at Salem last year, and you have a couple of small late model wins in the Southeast, and you're a second-generation racer. Colby, this development with Anthony Campy Racing and AC 81, any future races that you guys already have lined up, or are you just trying to play it by ear?
Yeah, no, right now we have 11 races with Anthony. I have a few ARCA stuff coming up. Really looking forward to this year with Anthony.
I mean, did you expect to go there and to win? I mean, it's quite the the feat to try to go into Roderick and Grill's house really at Montgomery and go there and get the victory. I know you don't have a whole lot of pro late model starts.
Yeah, no, it was actually just my second start in a pro late model and second at Montgomery. But yeah, me and Anthony were texting before the weekend, and we were getting really excited for this weekend. We thought Montgomery owed us one from the 200. But yeah, we just went in there. I knew I had a really good car. Anthony has been really good the past few weeks, months. So I knew the car would be there. Just the driver had to step it up a little bit and put the pedal down.
So where will we see you next, Anthony? What's next on the oh my gosh, Colby? Where will we see you next, and what else do you have going on for 2019?
I think April 26th at Pensacola for the Alan Turner Pro Late Model stuff. I have two, maybe 3 ARCA races coming up later in the year. I think in June and October.
Now, you said 11 races with the Anthony Campy team. Are you running the entire Alan Turner series down at Five Flags and trying to make a run possibly at the Snowflake 100?
Yeah, we're doing all of the Show Me the Money and the Alan Turner stuff. The Snowflake isn't on the schedule right now, but I'm trying to talk them into it. You just gotta get the money for that race. Really expensive race.
Now, I'm kind of curious. Admittedly, I have not been down to Montgomery, but when I look at from like pictures and such, it reminds me of a place where you have one at in late model stock or limited late model competition. That's Greenville Pickens. Is that a fair comparison, or am I off base there?
Yeah, it's actually what we were comparing it to. It's just like a high bank Greenville Pickens Speedway. Kind of helped me a little bit just knowing the speed that would be going in the corner and stuff like that. But it's also like Myrtle Beach Speedway with the tire wear, and I really could relate, my experience with saving tires to that race. I think that was a really key part in winning that race this Saturday.
Yeah, Stan Harrison's done such a great job with Montgomery, and man, one of the things that blew me away at Montgomery was the lights. Man, they got great lights at that short track. Bob Donor wants to know, even when he's not on the Bullring, he's still on the Bullring. He wants to know what ARCA races you running this year.
I don't know if I'm really supposed to talk about it yet, but
you can break it on the Bullring.
Yeah,
that's
right.
It's breaking news.
We like that stuff, man.
Yeah, we're going to Indy and Iowa, Lucas Oil Speedway in Iowa. So I'm really looking forward to Iowa. I've been wanting to go there since last year. I begged them to take me there last year, but couldn't get it worked out. We're finally going this year, so I'm really looking forward to that race.
Well, you did a pretty darn good job this weekend. Man, talking about there was a rain delay, pretty long rain delay there at Montgomery. What'd you do to pass the time? I saw a little football happening on the pit road. How long was that rain delay? When did you guys take the green flag?
Yeah, that was there was a lot of rain this weekend. We had a rain delay right in the morning too. I think they canceled one practice for it, but the one for the race, yeah, it was definitely stressing me out. Knowing I'd be starting on the outside of Casey Roderick, try to throw a little bit of football to kind of get my mind off things and just walk around, not really think about anything.
Well, that's cool, man. I haven't been to Montgomery yet this year, but I always look forward to it when I get to go there. I know, Zach, you haven't been yet, and it's a great racetrack to go to. And, I'm excited to see where your career is going. Colby, obviously off to a great start, and thanks for coming on the Bullring this morning, and have fun at school, man.
Yeah, I'm actually on my way right now, but yeah, thank you guys for having me on this morning. I wouldn't be here without Anthony Campy and Project Hope come on board with this year and Southern Utilities.
Awesome, man. Well, congratulations, and I'm sure we'll be talking to you again soon.
Thank you.
No problem. Well, we're going to keep trucking through the show, and I think this will probably be my favorite segment because I think we're going to cold call Condog.
Well, now that
Is
you
it a
just
cold
said
call
it,
if you
he's
announce it
gonna
on the
know.
air?
Oh, man.
Because he's watching us.
I know. Connor, you didn't hear that. Maybe Connor went to the bathroom or something. He didn't hear that.
Oh, it's ringing.
He's watching. I mean, he
Good
has
work,
to know
Casey.
this coming.
Good work.
Listen, I mean, the Facebook's a little delayed anyway, so we might be fine.
Uh-oh.
Connor,
Is this Connor?
did he hang up on
Yep.
us?
Connor, you're live on the Bullring, buddy.
Yeah, don't say anything dumb.
When have you ever known me to say anything dumb?
I probably shouldn't answer that.
The show's only
question.
2 hours long.
Well, Connor, I think it's time to cue the music if we can. I know I just put Mark in a fluster. There it is. Connor, you're our news this morning. We don't have Ken A anymore.
Can I?
So we got Condog. Condog, you got anything lined up for us? What do you got in the world of short track racing?
Well, of course, I, too, was at the Icebreaker at Thompson Speedway this past weekend. Of course, Brandon Paul talking about the NASCAR Wheel and Modified Tour earlier, but we had 10 other divisions in action this weekend, including the Pro All-Star Series. It was the opener for the North Championship, also round 2 for the National Championship. Derek Griffith, he took the lead early from Gabe Brown, but DJ Shaw, he came up through the field. He got by Griffith once, but Griffith got him back on a mid-race restart, but Shaw ran him down one last time, made the winning pass coming to the white flag. Griffith coming home in second position behind Shaw. First ever victory for Shaw at the Big T. Ray Christian the third, Johnny Clark, Jake Johnson, the top 5 in that one.
Well, Connor, I'm sure you're probably like a kid in a candy shop when it comes to the Icebreaker, huh? Is that one of your favorite events or what?
Oh, of course it's one of my favorite events because it opens the racing season here in New England. There are no other major races on the asphalt in the Northeast, especially in New England, before this one. It's the one that gets the ball rolling.
And I think that's my favorite thing growing up in New England is that you always knew when Icebreaker came around that was the start of the season. There's a lot of respect up there among all the track owners. Everybody knows you don't schedule before the Icebreaker. It used to be a show called Racerama at the Big E in Springfield, which was the trade show, and then everything goes into the Icebreaker. And, Connor, how exciting is it that first day at the Icebreaker every year to get to see the new cars, the new paint job?
Are you okay, Mark?
I've had a cold, but I'm getting over it. But, Connor, what's that like on the first day of Icebreaker when you see everybody rolling their new cars for the new year out of the trailers, new bodies, new paint schemes, new teams, new everything? What is that like?
It still gives me chills getting the chance to, of course, walk around the pits now, but really seeing them on the track, that's what really gets your blood pumping. Hearing the sounds, especially the modifieds on track for the first time, just thundering around Thompson with those high speeds.
Connor, I want to know, one of the most historic things that's ever happened in the history of Speed 51 was the first ever 51 After Dark, and you started that. How did that go, Connor?
I feel like it was a good pilot episode, but definitely need to I think, perfect my craft going forward. It is something a little new that we're trying going forward, though. But hey, looking forward to some future episodes the rest of the year.
And on that note, if you did not check it out, you can still go back and watch it on our Facebook page. And that's something that all different 51ers are going to get involved in here coming up soon. So we're going to try to do it as many nights as possible throughout the week, and you never know who's going to pop up on your screen when we come up live with the 51 After Dark. So it's a new feature talking about the latest stories and all that. So it's going to be something really cool that Bob Dillner and Brandon Paul came up with. So we're looking forward to that. What other headlines we got there, Connor?
Well, you also had the Valente Modified Racing Series in action at the Icebreaker on Saturday. This was also a great race. Chase Dowling, he led early on, but Ronnie Williams came up from the mid-pack, ran him down. They swapped the leads a number of times. In the end, it was Chase Dowling who prevailed. He dedicated the win also to Ted Christopher, who was driving the Jimmy Page 00 before Dowling took over for him late in 2017 after he passed. It was a battle for the ages too, especially considering Dowling and Williams, they came up at the exact same time in SK Lights at Stafford. So it was really something. You can see those highlights on the Speed 51 network, by the way.
Oh, yeah, tons of highlights going up on the Speed 51 network. There's a plethora of racing that we covered.
Tom's back here editing more right now.
Yeah, he's editing, and he's also kind of producing-ish back there. That's why, like, every time there's like a delay or there's something wrong, we just blame it on Tom Ryan because he's working, but he's not working on the Bullring. But Connor,
wow.
Connor,
what's the view like under that bus, Tom?
Right? Yeah, we just throw him. I back him right up. I mean, it's always the talent's got to blame somebody, right? It's not our fault. Connor, what do you got coming up this weekend? What are you excited about?
Well, I will be going up to Oxford Plains Speedway myself on Sunday. Looking forward to the twin bill between the Pro All-Star Series and the American Canadian Tour. Also going to have the Past Modifieds as well as the Northeast Mini Stock Tour in action up there. So, again, hopefully the snow melts up there. I don't know what Brandon's going on about snow. It's just raining outside here in Connecticut.
Well, in his defense, he is just a tiny bit more north than you.
Yeah, just a little bit.
Sometimes that tiny bit can make all the difference in the world.
You answered your own question there, Connor.
Connor, what did you think about coming down to North Carolina and seeing sleet?
Yeah, April 2nd, snowing.
Yeah.
I was in disbelief when that happened last week, to say the least, especially considering that it was 80 degrees both days when we were up at Richmond Raceway for the Commonwealth Classic. It was definitely a major shock to the system.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, that's North Carolina weather, man. One day it'll be like 90, and then the next day it'll be snowing. Like
New England's got that going on too, though.
Yeah, but I feel like it's super exaggerated in North Carolina compared.
That's just because you're here.
Yeah, it's better.
I didn't like it. I didn't like it at all.
I loved it because I didn't get to see the snow earlier in the year. So any chance I get to see snow, I like. But
well, Connor,
we may be calling you back, so
Yeah.
stick by your phone. You never know. It may just ring. Maybe Casey won't warn you on the air live that we're cold calling you next time.
Listen, most of the people we cold call, they're sometimes not watching, so I just got used to like.
Hey, I'm paying attention, and if you want me back, I still got plenty more news to go through, guys.
Awesome.
We'll
We
hit
appreciate
you,
you, Connor.
Yeah, but right now we're going to kick you off the show, and coming up next is going to be the winner of the past Super Late Model North season opener, just up after the break. So stay tuned here on the Morning Bullring, and on the other side, we're going to have DJ Shaw on the show.
The Short Track U.S. Nationals return to Bristol Motor Speedway. May 31st and June 1st. For tickets, visit bristolmotorspeedway.com/tickets.
Speed 51's video network, where the battles are legendary. Get the full picture on short track racing. We'll take you behind the scenes.
He's just a meathead. He's always the same way.
Your track, your driver, your sport, your passion. Dirt, late models, modifieds, and more. Race highlights, recaps, interviews, and thousands of on-demand videos. Speed 51 Network, short track racers' home for the best video coverage.
Hey race fans, download the new Speed51.com app today. Breaking news, feature stories, the unfiltered podcast, live race coverage, schedules, and more right at your fingertips. Download it today on iTunes and the Google Play Store.
Well, it is 8:01 in the morning, and I like it. I like this like head thrashing music we got.
Got to wake people up.
It does. It gets me going every morning. It's either that or the coffee I got. I don't have the big cup. This is my special cup. It says Beeb on it. I left my other cup somewhere. I can't find my cup. I'm kind of upset about it.
I'm sorry to hear that. I'm not a coffee guy, so I can't relate.
I was going to say, Zach's drinking water over there.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
I can't imagine Zach on coffee. You'd probably be shaking like a leaf on a tree.
Actually, hey, I'm doing water too, just for the record. So
I know.
It's tinted because I have Mio, but I'm drinking water.
Tom Ryan's got some fuel over there.
He gets that rich guy's coffee. I can't do that stuff.
Man, and Starbucks coffee is strong.
Yes,
this stuff
it is.
strong. I like the Dunkin' Donuts coffee, but yep. I think you just gave
I'm
a
just
spoiler.
hitting buttons over here.
Spoiler alert, DJ Shaw next.
My favorite part was the fact that you made a little whoop.
Whoopsie daisy.
Well, on the PFC Performance Hotline is DJ Shaw, first-time caller, not only first-time caller, first-time winner at Thompson. DJ, how's that feel?
It feels pretty good after the last few years to be so close and finally get the spot we were looking for.
Man, you guys coming off a championship last year, and then you kicked the season off with a win this year. What's that do for your momentum moving forward this year?
No, it's big for us. You know, we've been good at Thompson in the past, and you know, we've obviously taken steps in the right direction, and hopefully that translates over to the rest of the season, and we can just, you know, keep the momentum going and keep getting better and better with the new car every week.
We had the con dog Connor Sullivan giving us the news recap and talked about your battle with Derek Griffiths at the end of that race at Thompson. What was it like going up against him? Because, I mean, you and him are two of the top dogs up there in the Northeast, for sure.
Yeah, I mean, it was the perfect race for the fans, and just everything it just set up for a great finish. And, you know, to be a part of it was amazing. And just to come out on top, and especially after losing to him last year, we were kind of evenly matched last year, and I just couldn't quite do anything with him, and this year I got him there a little after halfway, and after the restart that didn't really help me out, and we fell back to third and just kept digging and clawed our way back, and kind of made it a little dramatic there on our end, but you know, nonetheless still got it done.
Now, DJ, you're one of those running that new body from Five Star Race Car Bodies. And you've run it twice now at Richmond and now at Thompson, but you're the first, you broke through to win with it. What is that like, and what have you seen so far with that new body? It didn't look like there were a ton of advantages to it at Richmond where you'd think it would really show out, but how was that at Thompson?
Yeah, I think it's pretty equal. I think they did a good job. It's, you know, always, you know, we're supportive of it, and you know, happy that there's a new look and everything like that. But you always have in the back of your head, you know, even though it's supposed to be equal, is it going to change the balance on your setup? And, you know, is it going to do this? How's it going to race around the old body? You know, all those things. And I think they definitely did their homework. It seems very equal. You know, you're always going to get the people that say, you know, we won because we had the old body, but you know, Derek didn't, and he led a majority of the race. And, you know, I'd hate to think that was why after, I think it was pretty equal at Richmond, pretty equal at Thompson. Those are the biggest tracks we're going to go to. So, all in all, I think they did a great job with the body, and glad we could put it in victory lane for them.
Yeah, I think when people talk about, oh, he won because of the body and stuff like that, I think they get really kind of brainwashed from the NASCAR scene because everything's so equal there, and, those minuscule aerodynamic advantages are huge, especially when they go to mile and a half and stuff. But for you short track racers, man, it's all just mechanical grip and getting your race car to really run good on the long runs and making sure your stuff's dialed in and keeping your tires underneath you. And that's not all going to be there just because you got a new body on it that maybe have a little bit of an advantage over the older style. But talk about the Icebreaker, man. I've only heard good things. I've never been there to the Icebreaker. I've been to Thompson, of course, but I've never been to the Icebreaker event. What draws you back every year? What's your favorite part of it?
I just love Thompson. The sensation of speed there is I think it's as great as anywhere we go. You're kind of up against the wall, and it's a big track, but it still races like a short track and puts on a good show for the fans. And just being part of the Icebreaker is big for us. And it's modified country. It's a huge race for them, and the grandstands were full. It's nice to see that at a short track, and to have a finish like that and a race like that throughout was big for the tour, big for super late model racing in Connecticut, and just I hope the fans really took notice and appreciated what we did for them yesterday.
So no rest for the weary, of course. You turn right around, heading to Oxford soon. How do you feel about going into that race coming off the win?
I'm excited to get back there. That was our probably worst track consistently last year other than Beechridge. And, when I say that, I think we finished 3rd, 4th, 6th, and 9th in the races I can remember. I think our worst finish was the 9th and better than 6th and all the other ones, but just still we were never a contender to win there. And I feel like, we definitely need to work on that. That's the track that I felt like we definitely were going there not thinking we could win, and this year, starting off things like we did, it's good for the confidence of the team, for me, and everybody involved with us, and just hopefully everything we did over the winter translates over to the flat tracks, and it works out good for us.
Now, DJ, to start the year now, you're going from Richmond, which is really fast. What is it, 3/4 mile? You go to Thompson, which is the definition of a paperclip, 2 long straightaways and corners, and now you're getting ready to go to a place like Oxford. And I mean, personally, as a fan, I think that's what makes the short track racing scene and a thing like, what the past series has so entertaining to watch. As a driver, how challenging is that you're starting the season with 3 completely different types of racetracks?
Yeah, it's kind of, it makes it fun. It gives you some variety. It kind of, it sets the tone for how you're going to be over the course of the season, because you're seeing all 3 ends of the spectrum right back to back to back. So, it kind of gives you a good gauge for where you're going to be and what you need to work on. And, and it shows you who your contenders are going to be, all your competition. And, hopefully moving forward, we can just carry the momentum we have and be the guy they're looking to knock off the top. But if we're not, we'll go to work, and we'll find out more about that this weekend. And just when you win, you just want to get back to the track. You don't care where it is.
Well, we're starting to get some comments pouring in on Facebook. Mike Twist said it's pretty cool to have watched your career go from go-karts to late models, and now win at the Icebreaker and pass north. And also Eddie Kenny chimed in and said, any relationship to Dale Shaw?
Yeah, he's my dad. He's my crew chief, so we work together every day, and it was pretty rewarding for both of us to, you usually have new car blues, so to speak, and just small things that you can't account for without testing, and just, there's still a foot of snow on the ground at our house, so we took a new car to the track yesterday, and the first time on the track was Saturday for practice, and we were second quick, and we had some gear trouble and rear end issues, and we worked on that. We never turned a bolt on the car, never changed a spring. We raced it right the way it came off the setup plate. So that says a lot about our winter preparation, and he's real proud of that effort. And I was happy I could do my end and make him proud. Happy to be there.
Yeah, for sure. What are we going to see? Are you going to run the whole Pass North schedule this year? Are we going to see you come down to the Southeast at all? Maybe run the Snowball Derby or bigger races like that?
We're definitely going to go for the full Pass North thing, and barring any unforeseen circumstances, that will be what we do. I'm always up for more racing. It just it depends on circumstances at the time, just how busy we are at the shop and how much help we can get to go to races and stuff like that. But I don't know if the Snowball's in our future. We don't really have a good geared up team to go to a super race. We don't really race with the big engine enough, and we broke our big engine at Richmond. So just kind of, I wouldn't be opposed to the Snowflake again. I had a lot of fun doing that years ago, and we ran decent and hit some big pro late model shows. Would definitely be something we'd like to do, but we'll see what we can fit in, and if we can get to some bigger ones, that would be pretty fun.
Yeah, it'd definitely be cool to see you come race down in the Southeast and see that new body in person. But DJ, congratulations this weekend. I'm sure it's awesome that going on the possibly the fourth time. I think actually Tom Ryan has a question. Tommy, one of the Connecticut natives.
That's right. DJ, congrats on the win. How satisfying is it for you and your company to basically beat a Fury car? Because they've had basically, I wouldn't say the run of the mill lately, but they're doing pretty good. So how satisfying is it for you and your dad to do that?
It was huge for us, really. They're a nationally known chassis company, and we're just kind of stick to the region and do our thing. And to go up against them, and it's not just a Fury car. It's Derek Griffith, and he just beat Bubba at New Smyrna with that thing. So it's not just any old Fury car. It's a good going one. So to come out on top of that is very satisfying. It definitely, we knew he was going to be the one to beat there. He's always good at Thompson. He picked up his program a lot in Florida this winter, and we knew we were going to have our work cut out for us. So it was definitely satisfying.
Well, you are the 3-time Pass North champion, and got to be feeling pretty good about 4th time now. How do you think you can get the 4th one this year?
I don't know. You hate to race for points. It puts too much stress on everything, and everybody gives that generic answer. But that's obviously the goal. But we just want to win races, and if you do that, that falls into play. That falls into place later, and if we can keep winning races, we can get a point lead and not have the stress of points racing. But that's in a perfect world, and if that doesn't happen, we'll just do our best and try to get another one at the end of the year.
Absolutely. Well, DJ, thanks for coming on the show this morning, and I'm sure we'll be talking to you soon, but have a good day, sir, and thanks for being on the Morning Bullring.
Thank you, guys. Thanks for having me.
That's DJ Shaw, winner of the Pass Super Late Model North season opener, the Icebreaker at Thompson. And we're going to take a quick break, but coming up on the other side, we're going to have the man who was in the spotlight for all the wrong reasons last weekend, but is in the spotlight for the right reason this weekend. Stay tuned and hear from the winner from Orange County Speedway right after the break here on the Morning Bullring.
The Short Track U.S. Nationals return to Bristol Motor Speedway. May 31st and June 1st. For tickets, visit bristolmotorspeedway.com/tickets.
Speed 51's video network, where the battles are legendary. Get the full picture on short track racing. We'll take you behind the scenes.
He's just a meathead. He's always the same way.
Your track, your driver, your sport, your passion. Dirt, late models, modifieds, and more. Race highlights, recaps, interviews, and thousands of on-demand videos. Speed 51 Network, short track racers' home for the best video coverage.
Hey race fans, download the new Speed51.com app today. Breaking news, feature stories, the Unfiltered podcast, live race coverage, schedules, and more right at your fingertips. Download it today on iTunes and the Google Play Store.
$8:16 in the morning, and we're just about halfway through the show. I mean, I say just about. We're like technically halfway, but we always run over.
I was going to say
go
halfway
overtime.
to what?
Right, and we, it's supposed to finish. If we start at 7, I guess it's supposed to finish at 9, but it'll probably go to like 9:30. So, and what's not good is I'm almost out of coffee.
Yeah, we don't have anybody here that can make a coffee run for you
Tom,
either.
Coffee? Nope, he's busy. That was a hard no, too.
He was emphatic.
I know. We don't have Kenna here. She's back to Canada. She can't give me coffee. Either way,
it would be that Tom Horton stuff. Anyways, you don't want that.
Tom Horton
or Tim Horton? I don't know. We're here in the U.S., so it's Dunkin' Donuts. I don't know what that.
I'm surprised you
stuff
didn't
is.
say Wawa.
No, there's Wawas in Florida, and they just got those like right about the time I was moving up here. But other than that, I wasn't really familiar with the whole Wawa brand, and it's good stuff though. That's one of the perks of going down for Speed Weeks every year for sure.
I will say I moved down here to Concord, in the past month. Actually, I think the 3 days will make a month.
Yep.
And learning the lay of the land, looking around, searching for stuff. And of all the things compared to my hometown where we have like 3 places to eat, there's not a Krispy Kreme within like 40 minutes of my apartment.
It's upsetting, but we do have OMG Donuts, which is right over
Which is OMG.
Yeah, OMG Donuts.
Yeah. If you're in Charlotte and at any point in time, just look up OMG Donuts. It's how did I tell Bob to describe it when we were talking about it on
Delicious.
the podcast? No. At its location.
Oh.
What's that saloon there? The
Iron
Horse.
Thunder.
Iron Thunder.
Yeah.
Everybody knows Iron Thunder.
Yep.
So it's right across from that in the parking lot behind 7-Eleven. OMG Donuts. We're fortunate. Bob, a lot of times when he comes into the office, will bring us donuts a lot of times in the morning, and it's OMG.
Yes, it is. And speaking of OMG, there were some OMG moments last week.
There were.
And I think before we bring Lee on, we'll definitely talk about that because they made a decision on the penalties and the fines handed down. And we thought on the show that, Lee was going to come out scot-free on this thing because there you see, in my opinion, that's just self-defense. He didn't do anything. He could have taken him for a tow around the racetrack. He just wanted him out of the car. But Zach has the info pulled up in front of him so he can actually talk about what the penalties and fines actually were.
Sure. So Lee Pulliam, for the incident at South Boston, received a $1,500 fine from NASCAR and was suspended from NASCAR competition until April 17th, 2019. Worth noting, South Boston's next race is April 20th. So Lee will not miss a race at South Boston. And he went to the Cars Tour race this weekend. That has nothing to do with the NASCAR suspension.
Right.
So that part didn't really affect him at all, but did receive a $1,500 fine. Philip Morris received a $1,000 fine and was suspended until the fine was paid. He apparently paid it pretty quickly. He went to Dominion this weekend and won. So
did he win?
They
both
had twins.
They both won this weekend.
Okay.
Yes.
But and I can tell you, Casey, I agree with you that Lee did nothing necessarily wrong.
I would say,
but I think they have to send a message to deter people from doing that again.
Right.
I would have done the same thing, but at the same time, it could have ended in a much different way. And as far as like the Philip Morris, his penalties, drivers responsible for their crew, plain and simple. So it was his crew. It's his responsibility to keep the crew in line as they're representing the driver. So I agree there had to be some kind of penalty for Lee as far as it's not black and white. There's such a gray area of what did he do wrong, and would you have done the same thing? I think they had to send a message though, just to try and get people to think before they react. And I think that's the purpose of penalties a lot of time is to try and get people to think and maybe make a safer decision. I won't say the right decision because I think he did what anybody would do, but I think that they're trying to send a message. Maybe next time think of another way that maybe is a little bit safer, that you can express yourself and still protect yourself.
Right, and I think Lee was put, in a tough spot, which obviously the deal on the racetrack, you can put blame on whoever. You can say that Phillip checked up. You can say Lee got in there too hot. Either way you look at it, there'll all be three sides to every story. But, in my opinion, Lee was just, self-defense at that point.
And worth noting, I did make one error there, so I'll put $1 in the jar there.
Yep.
They did not have twins. Jeff Oakley won. I knew Jeff Oakley had won. I thought it was twins. Phillip finished second to Oakley, Sergio Pena.
Sergio
rounding out
Pena.
the
How about
podium.
that name? I haven't heard that name since like
Good for him.
2012 K&N East.
Good for him.
I know. I like Sergio, man. He was one of the cooler guys in the pit area. I saw the race monitor deal from Dominion, and Jeff Oakley, I thought something was going on with his transponder. He had I think 100. He had like 10 more laps than everybody, and his fastest lap was like a 6-second lap. I'm like, well, I don't think he was that fast. But, obviously transponder issue. So when you said that Phillip won, I was like, I thought it was a possibility because Oakley was having some transponder issues.
I goofed. That's all.
Well,
First time on the show, right?
Definitely going to be talking to Lee Pulliam about that, and I believe he is on the line. I'm going to double check with Mark Keeler. He is on the PFC Performance
I just filled him
Hotline.
in that we were rehashing a little bit of last week, but he's in the spotlight for a different reason.
That's right.
This week, and so he's looking forward to talking to us.
Well, he's on the PFC Performance Hotline right now, and Lee, long time no see. Considering I was talking to you less than 12 hours ago, how much celebrating did you do last night?
Well, it was pretty hard for me to go to sleep, I'll tell you that. So it was, my little girl woke me up this morning. She was wide open and talking about the race, and it's been fun. So just to say that everybody put in a lot of hard work and effort, and not a lot of sleep last night, but it was all worth it, that's for sure. We got tore down in Tech pretty good, and when you win a big race like that, that's that's something to be expected.
Yeah, absolutely. And, it was, first of all, just run us through that race, man. It was a great race there at the end. Great last lap battles. You guys were putting everything on the line. I mean, not dirty racing, but just hard-nosed racing, man. Run us through those last laps. You can really tell there was 30 G's on the line.
Yeah, I didn't want to see that last caution. I kind of stretched out just a little bit and had a decent lead there on Josh, and when the caution come out, I knew it was going to be tough from then on. And then I had the tough decision to take the bottom or the top, and I knew either way could cost us the race. So I just went with the top and was just hoping that Josh would race us, hard but clean. And he didn't cut me any slack. He got me all up in the marbles and into the fence a couple times, but I was able to hold on and was able to cross him over on the backstretch and get back to the bottom of him and kind of give him a little bit of the same treatment he gave me, which was, like you said, just hard racing, 30,000 on the line, a big race. I didn't really expect any less, and it was just a hell of a show for the fans.
Well, Lee, and we led into this conversation with you, obviously referencing, what took place with the Philip Morris crew and that, but sometimes they say the best way to get people to stop talking is to give them something else to talk about. And you did that, but how satisfying is that for you that, just after, everything that went down last week to just get it all turned around on the positive end and seal that win that way?
Yeah, we were pretty shocked with NASCAR's decision there. And I think the track was, and everybody else across America was really for the most part. But it was definitely a little bit aggravating. But I told the guys, hey, we just got to stay focused right here. Got to keep our nose to the wheel and just grind right here and try to make a good week. We had 3 race cars there. We had Corey Heim there also and Brandon Pierce, and all 3 cars qualified into the top 5 and didn't have to heat race. All 3 cars ran in the top 5 the entire race until Corey got wrecked on that restart, and all 3 cars had a shot to go to victory lane. So that was really special for me, and pretty cool day. Not only that I won, but to have 3 cars that were capable of winning. That was a really, really big day for LPP.
So, be honest. Would it have been nice at Orange County this weekend to see a couple of those South Boston regulars like that 0-1 up there racing with you for that $30,000?
I always enjoy racing with Philip. He's a hard-nosed racer. I guess he's trying to chase his national title, so I understand why he wasn't there. But, for me, it was the best of the best. We had Josh Berry, Deke McCaskill, Brandon Pierce, Corey Heim, Lane Ridge, it goes on and on. Tommy Lemons, just an unbelievable field of cars, and to beat those guys meant a lot to me. So I think besides maybe the 01 car and the 26 car, you had pretty much the best of the best there.
You mentioned the national championship. The fans on Facebook, of course, chiming in throughout the show. We have Andy asking. He wanted to know your thoughts about the possibility of a late model national champion coming from New England, since they've added some tracks to their sanctioning roster, so to speak, for 2019. Lee, Claremont, Monadnock, Star, Hudson, now NASCAR sanctioning. We might see a little changing of the guard, so to speak. What are your thoughts on that as somebody who is a multiple-time national champion?
Yeah, I think it's good for the sport. The more competition we have for that deal, the better it is. Every national championship I've won, I've raced against somebody from different parts of the country. Really, the only time I raced around for anyone around it that was kind of local was Deke McCaskill in 2013. But for the most part, it's been trying to beat Keith Rocco or try to beat Thomas Tillison or Trevor Huddleston. It's just all different parts of the country. So I think that's what makes the national title special for the Wheeling All-American Series. And, I think the more competition we have, the more tracks we have. They changed the car count a little bit to help hopefully get more tracks capable of meeting the requirements that it will take to win it. So, winning a national title is special, and it's a lot of big names that run for it each and every year. And I think it's great. The more NASCAR tracks you have, I think the better off we're gonna be.
Well, now that we're on the subject of the national title and NASCAR and all that stuff, talking to you yesterday, your thoughts on just the fine and the penalty that were handed down to you. What were your feelings on it? Do you feel it's justified? Are they just trying to make a statement? Or, I know there's only so many options you have whenever there's when there's a crew guy climbing in the passenger side of your car.
Yeah, I think South Boston Speedway kind of put that out there best, in all due respect to NASCAR, we just peacefully disagree. NASCAR's got a job, and they did what they felt was right, but we disagree with the call there. I think the track did, and pretty much everybody we talked to has. So, you leave a driver in a vulnerable situation if he can't do anything about it, and I don't know. It was just like you said. I don't know really what else I could have done in that situation besides sit there and possibly, have something bad happen, or possibly not. You don't know. So it's not a situation you want to be in. If somebody jumps in your car at a red light, I guarantee you ain't gonna sit there.
Oh no, I'm going. I'm wide open.
So it's it was just a bad situation, and I feel like Forrest just made a little bit of mistake there, and I feel like he'll learn from it and be better going forward, just like I was. But it's I don't know. It was just a bad deal, and I'm ready for it to all go away.
Yeah, one of the people chiming in on social media said put pepper spray in the car. I don't know that that'd be a good idea. We are looking at a post on Twitter of the no passenger sticker on your car.
It's great.
Yesterday, was that just was that kind of your way to just bring a little bit of levity to the situation and maybe not have it be at the forefront, but just kind of provide a little, for lack of a better term, comic relief?
Yeah, all my guys on my crew are pretty lighthearted and funny guys. So, I didn't know nothing about it honestly until it was already on there. But it was like you said, just something to lighten the situation up a little bit. It was a bad situation for everybody involved, and We'll be glad when 5 or 6 years from now you don't hear as much about it. You'll always hear about anything in the past. So I still hear about stuff we did 8 years ago, and it's kind of one of those things that always be brought up. But anyhow, time kind of makes that stuff go away somewhat, and we just gotta keep focused and try to win some more races right now.
Well, talking about the past, you've done a lot of incredible things behind the wheel in the past. Of course, now you have this $30,000 win at Orange County in the first ever Old North State Nationals. Where does this stack up on your list of accomplishments?
It's it's right there at the top. All the national titles are special. Winning Martinsville special. Hampton Heat win was special. Myrtle Beach 400 win was special. Thanksgiving Classic win was special. And this one's, special too. So I felt like it was a new race and probably one of the, just another big race that I hadn't checked off the bucket list, and to be able to do it the first time was pretty awesome. And, at this point in my career, it's kind of, last year we didn't have as great of a season, and we felt like our equipment, my personal equipment, was getting a little old. We kept my customers in new cars, and Mr. Kiker agreed to let me build a new car this year for myself, and that's made a world of difference. It's kind of fun to be back on top there and racing hard for wins instead of racing hard for top fives. So I feel like it has already turned the program around, and we've been a threat to win every week.
So how are you going to spend that $30,000, Lee? You got any big plans, or are we still running it through figuring it out?
Yeah, I guess it'll probably go right back into our program. So y'all, how much it costs to run these race cars, and it's great, great to have. But after tech, we got a motor tore apart and a transmission tore apart and a rear end out, truck arms out, shocks and springs out, and they traced all the wiring in the car and all sorts of good stuff. So you got to get everything back put together and put it right back into the race car. So, but it's like I said, it's a big race, a big show, and I applaud the cars to it for putting on a big tech for something like that.
Yeah, they certainly had you pretty torn down. Eddie Kenny just chimed in on our Facebook page. Want to know if you're headed to Langley this Thursday night?
Well, unfortunately, I was headed to Langley, and I was going to take Brandon Pierce there to race, but with my NASCAR suspension being until the 17th of April, I cannot attend. So we were definitely going, and we were hoping to go get us a big win there, but we'll have to watch it from the couch this weekend. So.
Well, sometimes that's not a bad place to be. Sometimes it's nice to have a relaxing weekend on the couch, I'm sure, especially coming off the past couple of weeks. But moving forward, where are people going to be seeing you racing this year? And do you have any plans on some of the huge, bigger races for the rest of the season?
Our main goal right now is trying to win these races with Brandon Pierce and Corey Heim and Jessica Dana and Jason Barnes and Darren Cochran, who all run out of our shop. So that's our number one goal right now. I'm going to race at South Boston for the remainder of the season. It's kind of close to home and doesn't interfere a lot with what else we have going on. And I will more than likely run the Martinsville race and could see us at the Hampton Heat. That's a high possibility, so we could compete for the Triple Crown. But other than that, that'll be about it for me. So we're racing somewhere every week with customers from now to October. So got a busy schedule ahead. So I won't be behind the wheel a whole lot this year, but I'll be at a racetrack every single weekend.
What is, obviously you said you wanted to go this weekend. What is the next race that we will see you behind the wheel for?
April 20th at South Boston Speedway.
Going back to South Boston. Why is it that crazy things always happen at South Boston? What is it about that racetrack?
I don't know. It's close to home, and it's it's awesome. That place means a lot to me, but it's always something wild happening there. And it's I don't know. I hope it'll be a calm weekend when we return. It may not be, but I'm hoping so.
Yeah, I know Zach's had his fair share of nights at South Boston when things got wild.
Oh, and not just with the late model stock guys. I mean, it's been Cars Tour. It's been, it's just something about that place. So
yeah, definitely. Well, Lee, congratulations, and thanks for coming on the show again this morning. Back-to-back caller. Not a lot of people have done that, so congratulations being one of the few back-to-back callers on the Morning Bullring.
Yes, sir. I sure do appreciate it, guys. Y'all have a good day.
Thank you. You too. That is Lee Pulliam. Well, there's no other way to come out of a spotlight in a negative, sense than coming out in victory lane like he did this weekend. I mean, that was so cool. I just love Orange County, man. That racetrack provides, I will say it till the day I die, provides some awesome racing. And, that was funny.
I'm cold calling.
I know. I thought you were calling Zach here for a second because as soon as you started calling, his alarm on his watch went off.
Yeah, that was my wake up
The
to
problem
go to
is-
Orange County.
Connor, are you there, buddy?
Yeah, I'm here.
I didn't spoil the surprise this time.
You don't say hello when you answer the phone?
No, he just picks it up.
Yeah.
Hey.
No, it was. I was just trying to fit into the conversation. I didn't
Good
realize I
deal.
had to say hello.
Usually,
good deal.
I think usually when you call Connor, he just goes, "What?"
Yeah, no. Well, with me, he does.
Gosh.
Well, Connor, you know what time it is. It's round 2 for news. What else you got for us this morning?
Well, there's still a lot to get around 2 as we'll go down to Bristol Motor Speedway as the NASCAR K&N Pro Series East in action on Saturday afternoon. Sam Mayer with a career day, his first victory in K&N competition. He held off Chase Cabre and Brandon McMorales for the win. And I don't know, guys, I think this could also be another major shakeup coming in the PFC short track draft.
Absolutely. I mean, that kid is 15 years old, already a winner at Bristol, and nobody called him any names, so that's a good thing.
Yeah, for sure. We'll move on to ARCA CRA Super Series. They opened up the season at Anderson Speedway in Indiana. The two-time CRA All-Stars champ, Jack Dossie III, on top after 125 laps over Travis Braden and Brett Robinson. Moved down to Montgomery Motor Speedway. Again, we talked about the magic of Anthony Campany racing on the super late model side with Giovanni Bramante, but Saturday it was Colby Howard's turn as he got the magic done on the pro side. He held off Casey Roderick and Augie Grill for the win there. And as we mentioned, Old North State Nationals at Orange County Speedway, $30,000 going to Lee Pulliam in that one. So good to see him get the win in that after all the hoopla a week ago.
Yeah. Tom Ryan.
Hoopla. That's the
Tom
new
Ryan
word.
likes that word, hoopla. Connor, just want you to know, Zach sat in this chair just fine. It did not have a mind of its own this morning. Last week, that chair kind of got away from you. This one right here. I don't know what happened. Was it that one or was it that one over there? I can't
No, it
remember.
was the one Zach said.
Yeah.
Hey, Connor.
Why is the chair not giving him any trouble considering that he's wearing that ugly shirt?
I think
My shirt is beautiful, sir.
Listen, I think it was operator
it's-
error on
No,
the
it's
chair.
not. No, it's not.
Hey, Connor, I'm going to give you some props here, and I don't do it nearly enough, but great job on the news this morning. We gave you no notice. We texted you with just a few minutes to spare and asked you to put together the news. So from me to you, excellent job this morning. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Guess we'll move it on. Let's get some rapid fire going here on the dirt action here as we'll go on to Toccoa Raceway as it was, of course, there we go. Matt Long who got on the win at Toccoa. Fast track Southeast action. Ultimate Super Late Model Series Southeast started things off on Thursday at the Gap Volunteer Speedway. Dale McDowell, $10,000 richer in the spring thaw. Saturday, the tour moved on to Friendship Motor Speedway. Zach Mitchell, the winner there in North Carolina. Lucas Oil Late Model Dirt Series, 2-stop weekend, 411 Motor Speedway. Ross Bales, first career win on the Lucas Dirt Tour. But Jonathan Davenport was back to form on Saturday night. 4th win of the season at North Georgia Speedway.
I have to
There
play
it
this
is.
every time we say Jonathan Davenport. It's required. It's in my contract.
It's in your contract.
World of Outlaws late models in the Midwest at Farmer City Raceway for Illini 100 weekend. Friday night, Brian Shirley won the 25-lap opener for the weekends. But Saturday, Brandon Shepard took the 75-lapper 6 Outlaws win of 2019 for Shepard. USAC National Midgets Twin Bill at Kokomo Speedway for Grand Prix weekend Friday and Saturday. Tyler Courtney won on Friday. Kevin Thomas Jr., the victor on Saturday.
Man, that race too. Did you see the finish to that race? I know
No,
Bob,
I didn't, but
Bob had
I heard
retweeted
good
a couple
things about
things. Bob had retweeted a couple things on Twitter, and I got to see it. Holy cow! I think maybe Tom, if Tom has some time, pull up that finish from Kokomo. Man, it was awesome. I advise everybody to go on USAC Racing's Twitter and check out. It was a green, white, checkered finish, I think, and it was holy cow. I love Kokomo.
Yep. World of Outlaws Sprint Cars, Arizona doubleheader this weekend. Friday night, USA Raceway. Brad Sweet breaking through for his first victory of 2019, while on Saturday, David Gravel got W number 2 on Saturday at Arizona Speedway. New York State finally saw their first dirt modified action of the year. Saturday, Grit Sportsman Series in action at 5 Mile Point Speedway. Dave Marcachilli getting the win up there. While on Sunday, the Short Track Super Series dirt modifieds were at the House of Power, Orange County Fair Speedway, I should say. Matt Shepard's getting the win over Stuart Friesen in the North Championship opener. Dells Raceway in Wisconsin. Unfortunately, that was a rainouts there, the Icebreaker 100s. That'll be on April 20th. And the Apple Cup at Yakima Speedway postponed to early May.
Well, Connor, you've mentioned a lot of things. One thing you haven't mentioned is the fact that next weekend is the All-American 300. I think first ever All-American 300. It's supposed to be 400.
I think they've changed it in the past before, but I understand their reasoning for doing so. And we're going to be talking about more of that on the other side of the break.
Well, first of all, Connor, before we let you go, thanks for coming on. Thanks for being prepared. I will give you a Connor story before we let him go. At Snowball Derby.
Oh, boy.
Snowball Derby. I think it was my first ever Snowball Derby. It was like the
Casey,
Rainball Derby.
We were on schedule.
Listen, it's only going to be a couple seconds. It was the Rainball Derby where we ended up racing on Saturday. Or no, on Tuesday. And I think it was supposed to be race day, and it was just a washout all day long. And Connor had I think he was the only employee that had an umbrella. And I told him, Connor, don't you know, umbrellas at racetracks are bad luck? And he said, screw your luck. I believe in preparation. So I think that is evident here this morning. Condog, thanks for being prepared when none of us else are.
I have to admit I did a little bit of scrambling, literally up to the very second where he called me again. But, hey, happy to be of help, guys. Always a pleasure.
Well, thank you, Condog. And I believe, unless anything outlandish happens, that'll be the last time we talk to him this morning. But you never know.
Yep.
I'm always down
He
to
needs
call
to
Condog.
change his Twitter handle to Condog, I think.
I know.
That was 30 seconds, by the way, Casey.
Yeah.
Listen, 2 seconds, 30 seconds, same thing.
Mm-hmm.
Sue me. All right. Coming up on the other side of the break, we hit on the All-American 300. We're going to hit on a whole lot more because we got Tony Formosa coming up here on the Morning Bullring.
It's Bristol, baby. The Short Track U.S. Nationals return to Bristol Motor Speedway. May 31st and June 1st. For tickets, visit bristolmotorspeedway.com/tickets.
Speed 51's video network, where the battles are legendary. Get the full picture on short track racing. We'll take you behind the scenes.
He's just a meathead. He's always the same way.
Your track, your driver, your sport, your passion. Dirt, late models, modifieds, and more. Race highlights, recaps, interviews, and thousands of on-demand videos. Speed 51 Network, short track racers' home for the best video coverage.
Hey race fans, download the new Speed51.com app today. Breaking news, feature stories, the Unfiltered podcast, live race coverage, schedules, and more right at your fingertips. Download it today on iTunes and the Google Play Store.
$8:45 in the morning, and Zach, we're closing in on wrapping up the show, man. This is we're almost through it. We have tons still left to talk about. Tony Formosa getting ready to be on the show. Excited to talk to him about the All-American 300. We're going to have Jack Dawsey III on the show as well. Just won at Anderson Speedway, and we talked about him on the way home from Orange County last night. Really, this is his rookie season running the ARCA CRA Super Series, and to come out with a victory early and didn't really have a lot of success with the JEG CRA All-Stars Tour.
I mean, he was their champion twice over.
Yeah.
But he didn't get a win.
He hasn't had the flashy speed.
Right.
Like we saw him earlier this year at Speedfest. Kind of struggled there. Ended up third in the Baby Rattler, right? Baby Rattler is where he's third at Op.
I think that's right. I have to double check it.
But that was more of just like he survived.
Right.
And they've really been trying to find speed, and he's been coming to Five Flags, and they've been getting better and better, and it's cool to see Jack Dawsey get that win. We'll talk about it a little bit, bump and run. Exciting finish. I think exciting finishes all across the board. Caraway had some good races, 602 modifieds, which those will be up on the network. And have so much stuff on the 51 network. I mean, we were at Toccoa, we were at Bulls Gap, we were at Orange County, got recaps and tons of interviews from Orange County. I mean, all the stuff from the Icebreaker, so much content. I feel bad for Tom Ryan's going to have to edit all that stuff, and I get to go build seats for the rest of the day, and you get to write about all the stuff.
Right. I mean, it was a blessing and a curse this past weekend because I went to 3 races in 4 days in 3 states. I was at Bulls Gap on Thursday night for the spring thaw, and then I went to Toccoa Saturday night for the fast track season opener, and then Orange County yesterday. So it was great that I got to see 3 great races in 4 days and spend a little time on the road doing that. But
a lot of time on the road doing that.
A lot of time on the road doing that. But I also missed out on a lot of the stuff like the Icebreaker and all that stuff. So I for sure, and this is not a cheap plug, I will be checking out the network to see what I miss.
Yeah, me too. There's so much stuff to keep up with. And by the way, your cousin Travis said good co-hosting, cousin.
It's been okay. It's been decent.
Hey, it's trial by fire, but we can shift gears now because we actually do have on the line right now from Fairground Speedway Nashville, getting ready for a gigantic weekend this weekend to kick things off for 2019, and it's the kind of the revisit to last year's All-American 400. It's the All-American 300 this weekend, so our pleasure to have Tony Formosa on the line with us, Tony, and. I know it's early. They told you 8:40 in the morning, but they forgot to tell you Eastern time. So we do apologize for that. It's a little earlier than you were expecting, but you have a lot of stuff going on this week getting ready.
Yeah, we've had a lot of stuff already going on. You know, we actually had media day Saturday, and it turned out really well. Weather was great. Had a lot of cars there. A lot of guys from out of town, and just showing a lot of strength, a lot of muscle. We still got a lot of work to do this week, and but man, we're looking forward to a great weekend, and changing that thing from a 400 to a 300. You know, we kind of did a survey on that, and we got thinking about it, and I thought, it would probably be a little bit easier on the guys, being that they got to turn around in a couple of weeks and come back, so for a points race and whatnot. And then, just thinking about down the line, for November. So it's kind of got to use your head when you're going to do an All-American 400 twice in 1 year. So I think that the guys really appreciated that. And of course, there were some that said, we don't care. We had some guys that wanted to go for 200, some guys wanted to go for 300. But at the end of the day, I think that 300 laps it's going to be reasonable, and it'll be a great race,
Yeah, absolutely. And to have Kyle Busch coming to Fairground Speedway Nashville, I'm sure is awesome for you guys. Have been looking forward to it. Anytime Kyle Busch shows up to any racetrack, he certainly puts butts in seats. So just talk about the anticipation and so many big names on the entry list so far.
Oh, really? And it really is. And the local guys are really excited about getting the race against him. I was talking to Willie Allen and Boa Pollard, and they're really excited about getting a race against him. They always like to race against him, and he's a really racy guy, and he's really excited about coming and trying to win the All American 400. They tested for 2 days, and they were really good. And I went down and talked to him, chatted with him for a while, and I said, "So what do you think?" He said, "I'm coming to win this race," and there's no doubt about it. So. We're looking forward to having him and selling average of about 600 tickets a day. People are calling and you know, ordering tickets just left and right. So we're really impressed, and he's really excited about coming and racing, and we're really excited about having him. So um, looking forward to it.
Well, Tony, the Fairground Speedway has so much history there, and of course, the All American 400. The race has taken a few different shapes over the last few years, but it's really returned to prominence as the marquee, one of the marquee races of the summer, all up and all over the East Coast and the West Coast. So with so much going on, and of course your track's been in the news lately with the involvement with NASCAR and with SMI out there, and how much has that helped, and how much does having Kyle Busch, he just won at Bristol, and with the amount of headlines he's making, how much does that mean just to the racetrack in general, from that standpoint, and trying to get NASCAR a little more involved with what's going on there?
I can't tell you how excited I am about this, and I've been talking to Marcus Smith for a couple of years now, and I actually talked to NASCAR on a smaller level, and then all of a sudden, after we won the RFP last year, Marcus started approaching me and whatnot, and with the help of you know kind of navigating the deal together with Scott Borchetta and Big Machine Records and whatnot. It it really came together good, and they told me, they said, your city is just literally on fire, and we feel like we can that was the biggest deal that they have dwelled on, is we have such a rich history at this fairground speedways. Have you ever met anyone? Have you ever met a driver? Ever met anyone that doesn't want to come race at the fairground speedway, or that didn't have a great time, really really likes it? And I would never ever take anything away from any other racetrack, but there's just so much to do in our city, and I mean, and the track is just a great track. Everybody wants to race on it. It's the perfect size. It's the perfect challenge between man and machine. If you can drive and race and win at Nashville, you can drive and race and win at any track in America. There's the famous words from the king himself, Richard Petty. He told me that when I was 17 years old. I was up underneath my car changing the gear, and I smelled a cigar. And I thought it was my dad, because he smoked a cigar every once in a while. And I turned my head, and Richard Petty was laying up underneath my car watching what I was doing. And so it just we're really really excited about SMI in the fact that NASCAR is coming back to Nashville, and we're going to be a great part of that. SMI does what we do, and we've really formed a great relationship. And Jared Caldwell, the folks up at Bristol, and Marcus Smith and his entire staff have just been great. They've been absolutely fantastic to work with. Once we get by the city stuff, the political stuff, and basically what it is when they're coming in, when they are building the soccer stadium and laying all the groundwork out, and they want to do so much improvement and whatnot, and they're just trying to work out all the details on the layouts. So that's the only thing that we got going on. Everything else is pretty much done and in the makings. It's just what they have to put together with the architects and whatnot on laying the groundwork. So
where do things stand? I know there's a mixed use facility that's planned to go in there just by the entrance to the track, and I read an article recently that if that's able to go through, that's going to present quite a challenge for getting people in and out safely. And that, can you speak about any ongoing discussions about maybe moving that building?
I really can, and basically, John Ingram, the fellow that's heading up the soccer stadium and whatnot, they're building a parking garage, a 10-story parking garage right behind the speedway. There's an access road, and I know you know what I'm talking about, but there's a road that goes right behind the speedway, and to the right of that, to the left of the access road is the speedway, the gates and everything where you come in, the VIP gate and whatnot, where you get to the elevator and then you get access to the grandstands. To the left, to the left I'm sorry, to the left is the grandstands, the fencing where you enter to the speedway. To the rear of the speedway, where the main gates and all are. To the right, there's a wall right now, and that is the outer wall for the maintenance shed, where all the maintenance and stuff is for the fairgrounds, and that the maintenance building will be leaving, and that's where there'll be a 10-story parking garage going. Well, the SMI wants to leave the access road, and with the architect and the drawing, they're going to take like 15 feet of that road. And we really need that road so we can have accessibility to emergency vehicles and handicap vehicles and just the whole 9 yards, really. So for the biggest part, the fans entering and exiting the track. So it'll be a pretty narrow little accessibility, and so they're working on that right now. Of course, the mayor's office is involved with that, and so is Ingram, and so is SMI. So the architects and everything. So I think it's going to all be fine. It's going to all play out. It's just once you set major plans to do something and everything, and then sometimes it's hard to do that. But you got two great companies like Ingram and SMI, Smith Motorsports Incorporated. I'm sure that they will get that like it needs to be. Last time I talked to Marcus was just a few days ago, and I said, "Have you guys got a backup plan?" And he said, "Yes, we do." So I think all that's going to be fine, but that is the only drawback as far as I know that they're looking at, and I think it's going to all work out just fine.
Oh yeah, and we're certainly excited for that development to come out, and we know that you guys are working very hard on working with NASCAR and getting them back to your racetrack, and that day will be exciting when it comes. But
oh wow, it really is. They're gonna put seating all around turn one, all the way around the backside of turn two, and you just got to see the layout of it. It's gonna totally blow you away.
Are there drawings or plans that you guys will be releasing at any point to kind of give the fans an idea of what the expectation is?
Not at this point. I think they just want to wait and do all that. After everything's finalized, they will. They'll certainly do a massive press release and whatnot. But it's something that the whole city and the whole racing community across the United States of America is waiting to see, and it's going to be really good. That's all I can tell you. I wish I could tell you more, but you know how that works. So and there could be a few changes in the layouts. I don't see a whole lot, but the city of Nashville is really excited about it, and myself and my family are really excited about it, and everyone that comes to the Fairground Speedway. It's just going to be such a beautiful place. Such a beautiful place. It's so old, and but we keep it looking really good. You know, we keep it clean and painted, and it's you know, a lot of the racers, a lot of the old guys like Ronnie Sanders and Sterling Marlin and some of those guys, you know, they say, you guys aren't going to repave the track, are you? And I'm like, well, I don't know. You know, that's probably, it may be in the plans. And, you know, a lot of guys don't want the track repaved because they're afraid it'll take the character out of the track, you know, but we just have to wait and see on that, you know.
Yeah, well, shifting gears to this weekend, talk about just how the schedule is going to play out and when people can see cars on track.
Okay, well, basically, what we're going to do, we're gonna start bringing the haulers and everything in on Friday, and getting everything set up, the tech and whatnot, and then Saturday we're going to do practice and qualifying for everything, and then Sunday we're just going to race. So the All American in the past has been like a 2-day racing show, and this year, what we're going to do is just make it a 1-day show. We're going to do everything on Sunday, and I think it's going to be, it'll be better for the fans if you want to come out. If the fans want to come out and watch practice and qualifying, it's free to do so. There's no admission whatsoever. The grandstands will be open to the public. They can come out. They can watch all the practice they want. They can watch the qualifying and the tech. And then Sunday we're going to start, of course, at 12 o'clock and with driver's introduction and whatnot. And you'll get to see the 34th annual All-American 400 being run on Sunday, April 14th. And then you can come back in November and watch the 35th annual All-American 400 be run. So,
Tony, I think one of the biggest stories that I noticed coming out last week was the ticket price for this weekend. You guys are giving fans an unbelievable show on Sunday, and talk a little bit about that, because that's, in this day and age, it's hard to find a deal a lot of times, and you guys are certainly stepping up to the plate for Sunday's show.
well, there's going to be over 500 laps to action-packed stock car racing at its best. You know, we feature some of the really, really good quarter mile racing, and we've got a new division called the Limited Late Model Division, which are old some people call them late model stock cars. It's the same thing the same car that NASCAR runs as a late model stock car, like it when they run at Martinsville and whatnot. It's an old perimeter type chassis, no underslung, no offset whatsoever, straight up chassis. And we've got like 30 of these guys, and we've got these are up and coming drivers, you know, and they race on a quarter mile. And they race so close. They race on 10-inch tires and wheels, and of course they run 602 crate motors and whatnot. And they're a little bit heavier, but they put one whale of a show on. Then we got the pure stock cars, which are our full body rear wheel drive cars. They put on a whale of a show. We've got 25 or 30 of those guys. Not to mention the Legends cars, the front wheel drive cars, and you know, right down to the Pro 4 cars, which are like complete 3/4 scale stock cars with the good suspension, the good shocks and everything on them, but they have a 4-cylinder motor. It's a really neat class, and we've got a lot of rookies in that. Speaking of rookies, you've got Chase Johnson that was 12-year-old. He was the youngest driver in the history of the Fairground Speedways, not just to win a race, but to win a championship. He won a championship last year in the Pro 4 division, and he has graduated from that and jumped in a super truck on the 5/8 mile. He's been the fastest thing on the track so far. So that's going to be the one to watch. This kid is on the move. He has the talent of Chase Elliott and Harrison Burton, all built into one. Chandler Smith. This is the next guy that this kid is the next kid to come to big league racing from the Fairground Speedways. But and you mentioned the history when we first started our conversation, and not to get off the scheduling or anything, but you know, you have so many guys that you know, like Harrison Burton. that's looking for his first All American 400 win. And then you had Chase Elliott that won it, and you had John Hunter Nemechek that won it and everything. So and I look for Harrison to be top competition in this race too. So it's going to be a great show with all of our local stuff and all of our pro late model, which a lot of guys that are running the super running pros too. So you've got a 100 lap pro late model race, then right along with a 300 lap All American 400. That's 400 laps of action packed racing, all built in together on the High Banks 5/8 mile track. Plus, you've got a 35 lap super truck event that's going to be right there with them. So
yeah, it's certainly going to be a great show. And just for $15 for admission, well, Tony, thanks for coming on, and I'm excited to see you this weekend. Excited to get to the All American 300, get back to Fairground Speedway Nashville. Thanks for coming on the Morning Bullring.
Hey, thanks for having me anytime, and we'll see you in a few days.
Yes, sir. And I'm looking forward to that. Zach, have you been to Nashville?
I have been once. It would have been 2015. Before I was with 51, I went to the All American 400.
Was it a super late model race then?
It was not a super late model race at the time, but so I'll have to get back for the super version at some point.
I can't remember if I've been. I don't think I've been to an All American. I think I've been to the North. What do they call it? The North South Challenge.
The North South Super Late Model Challenge.
Yeah,
with
the CRA and the Southern Super Series.
Yeah.
Yes, and cars.
Yeah, I haven't been there for the All American, so this will technically be my first All American.
Nice.
Yeah. So I'm excited for that. I'm always excited to go to Nashville.
One of the cool things that they do there during with the All American is the fact that they have the 5/8 mile, and then of course I think it's a quarter mile on the inside.
Yep.
And the fact that they utilize both of those for their show, I think, is always pretty cool. And those local divisions on that little quarter mile, man, do they put on a show.
Yeah, and that's completely awesome, man. You don't see a whole lot of I think the only other racetrack I can think about that does that, race on the small track inside and the whole track in the same day would be Charlotte Motor Speedway. Back when they used to do, I don't know if they still do it for pole day, qualifying for the 600. They used to run Bandoleros and Legend cars on the quarter mile, and then they'd qualify on pole night.
It's not much of a thing around here. I know you see it more in like the Northwest, the Midwest, as far as having a small track and a big track, but it's not really something we see around here.
Especially running on the same event in the same night. That's one of the cool things. But I tell you what, Casey, we were doing good on our schedule. We were close. And now we have another caller on the line, which is not only a first-time caller, but a first-time super late model winner. So why don't you introduce him?
Jack Dawsey III, man, congratulations this weekend. Is it nice to get that monkey off your back?
Yes, it is. I think we did it in a big way, too.
Yes, you did. I heard there was a bump and run on Brett Robinson. Man, run us through those last few laps from your perspective.
Well, I knew that Brett was he was pretty good, but his stuff was getting pretty free off the corner. I knew if I gave him just a little bit of a nudge, it really was a little bit more than I intended to do. It was supposed to be like, hey, man, I'm here, in case the spotter hadn't already informed him. And I ended up getting in a little bit deeper than I expected and giving him a little bit of a love tap and made it a little bit easier to pass. But that's ultimately that's not how I like to race, and that's not how I plan to race in the future. I don't like to be labeled as that. So I knew that if when I got by him, I knew that our car, it was driving off the corner straight still, and I knew that we could per se run away with it. And I knew that we had something, we had the car to beat in the long run, and I think that showed off.
Well, this was you have a new crew chief this year, correct?
Yep. Yeah.
So how is that? Obviously, it came together pretty well for you to get your first super late model win. But how challenging is that when you bring somebody new into the mix, calling the shots for you?
It's very different, to say the least. I'll come in after practice and they're like, all right, what do you want to do to the car? And then I'll kind of like look around and, oh, I'm the guy now. So, it's a big learning experience for me and the rest of my team, but, I've got some great people backing me, like my parents and, Terry Seneker. He jumped in and, we're running Seneker cars now. And he's took me under his wing and taught me more than I thought that I'd ever learn about race cars. And, Brandon Ernest has showed me the tricks and different things on shocks. And, I'm just looking to have a good competitive season. And, I don't expect to light the world on fire first time calling the shots and all that, but I think that we're going to have some fun this year.
Yeah, and seeing you early this year, Speedfest didn't have the greatest speed at Op. You got a third in the Pro Late Model race, but that was kind of through survival. Did you guys hit on something this weekend? You said you unloaded with speed, or did everything just finally click?
I think things are starting to finally click. Like I said, this is only our second race. There's a couple of guys on our new team that have never really worked on race cars before, actually. So everybody's kind of, we're seeing what everybody's good at and what everybody's comfortable with doing. I'm learning more about what to do and how to get a little bit more speed out of the car. Just our team is finally starting to fire on all cylinders, I believe. It's kind of a mixture of different things, I think, fell into play this weekend with the win. I've got a lot of laps at Anderson Speedway, which really helped. We got some speed off the bat really quick because I've won races there, and I know what you need to be at the end of the race. I think that when we go to Toledo in 2 weeks, that'll show, what we really have. But, I just want to run competitively, and I want everybody to know that I'm there.
Yeah, you certainly picked up a win, especially in your hometown. That's got to be pretty cool. I mean, not really hometown, but it's probably one of the closer racetracks. Is it cool to pick up a win such in a local racetrack?
Yeah, honestly, I couldn't have picked a better racetrack. Anderson Speedway, they've always been like family to me. I, as a little kid, watched my dad win races there in super trucks back in the early 2000s. So it was always, a dream of mine to be on the front stretch, and all eyes on me and talking to the crowd after a big victory. And we finally got that this past weekend. And honestly, it couldn't have been a better place because we had a lot of great friends and family there, and it was just pretty cool.
Well, I mentioned earlier new crew chief, and I thought I picked up on it in your answer. Are you your own crew chief this year?
Yes.
Wow. So it'd be different if you had a different crew chief, but now to play both crew chief and driver, that's got to be incredible.
Well, at least you got you don't have anybody to blame now. Who are you going to blame when the car's messed up?
I don't know. I haven't figured that out. It's all on me now, but honestly, I kind of like it that way. It's just it fits my personality. I've always been kind of the guy to, I'll do it my way, and if it doesn't work, okay, you can point the finger at me now. So now there's a lot of added pressure on my shoulders, but honestly, it makes it that much sweeter when you pull off a victory like we did over the weekend.
And that was actually going to be my question. I mean, it was already such a sweet victory for you, considering, being able to get that first big late model win, but to do it on your terms, so to speak, I mean, just has to make it so rewarding.
It really is. I couldn't have picked a better scenario, a better racetrack, and a better group of people to do it with. It's actually an honor to work with the people that I'm working with. It's a dream come true. Actually, I'm very lucky to be where I'm at right now, and I couldn't do it without my sponsors and my family backing me.
Yeah, for sure. And now you got the momentum on your side. You got that first big win.
Pressure's on.
Pressure is on. Where are we going to see you next? What's your next race?
We're at Toledo in 2 weeks. So I've never been to Toledo, so there's a lot of new factors going into that race. But I think that Terry Seneker and Brandon Ernest to help me out, and I think we'll be all right. Just not expecting to pull off, big win or something like that. I'd love to, but I just want to run competitively. I want to have a great race, and I want to look back on it and say, man, that was a lot of fun.
Yeah, and we've seen you race at in the Southeast a couple times already. Are we going to see you back? Snowball Derby, Snowflake 100. You always have one of the cooler paint schemes for the Snowball weekend.
Yeah, we're gonna run some blizzard races this year, which I'm actually really excited for. The ultimate goal this year, I want to have a better showing in the Snowball Derby. Last year, didn't make the race on our qualifying time. We had to race our way in. Well, this year I really don't want to do it that way. There was a couple of sleepless nights there, so I want to show up and, I want to make the race first of all, and I want to have a little bit more competitive of a run at the Snowball Derby this year. So we're going to be a little bit better prepared for that, hopefully. And I think we're going to run a couple more Southern Super Series races.
Well, that'll be cool. And with Terry Seneker in your corner as well, it'll certainly help out things for sure. And Jack Dossie, we're happy for you. Glad you're finally in victory lane. Thanks for coming on the Morning Bullring this morning.
Thanks for having me, guys.
No problem. It's Jack Dossie, won the ARCA CRA Super Series race at Anderson, first super late model victory. I think this kid, he's definitely, every time I've seen him on the racetrack, he's gotten better and better and better. And imagine that, man. These drivers think they can do it all, and he proved that he could do it all. He's crew chief and the driver.
Well, and not only, we mentioned first win just to get that's first super late model win because he's won in the pro late models. I think he's a 2-time champion now of the JAG CRA All Stars Tour. So obviously learned a lot behind the wheel in that pro late model that translated to the super. So it's really cool. A lot of people think that you need a full-time crew and full-time this and full-time that, and being your own crew chief can certainly save some money there. So it's really neat to see that all come to fruition, and then first race right out the gate to get a win at a place like Anderson. That's not an easy track by any means. I've been fortunate to be able to go there a couple times, and you talk about a high banked bullring, and that's about the definition of it right there.
Yeah. Well, I think we did it. Did we do it?
I think so.
We did it, guys. We completed a whole show without Bob Dillner. Nobody,
but we missed him.
Boo-boos.
We did miss him. There
we
were some blank spots and
absolutely. I'm not saying like we should do every single. Absolutely not.
No,
I like when I get to sit over here and he gets to talk a lot and I get to add my 2 cents. Because having to actually think about where the show is going.
Yeah, you had to carry me a little bit. You had to carry me a little bit.
It's not fun, but. This was a good morning, man. We had so much to talk about, so much exciting news in the world of short track racing. Tons of video content going to be going up over the next few days on the 51 network.
Tom has kind of bailed on me. He's actually he pieced out during the last segment. He's actually editing more and more videos for the network, and we haven't really touched on it as much as we should have.
Right.
But that Speed 51 network premium subscribers on top of all of the great highlights, recaps, behind-the-scenes stuff, all the free races. We've got a ton of races for free on the Speed 51 network. Whether you're a sportsman fan down in Florida with the Wheelman Sportsman Series, we're also doing super late models on asphalt, late models on dirt. You name it, we've got it. 100% short track racing, and it's all right there on the network. So definitely check that out, and that helps us do what we do and be able to go to all the different racetracks we went to. I last week. Zach and myself and Bob were at Bulls Gap, Tennessee, and then Toccoa, Georgia, and then Zach at Orange County. So for us to be able to do what we do, it certainly helps out a bunch, and it provides some great content.
And listen, we may be, involved in this for a living in some capacity, whether it be us at Speed 51, you with your old man over at the seat shop.
Yep.
But we're all race fans at heart, and to be able to do this stuff and tell those stories and bring them to you and share those videos with you is why we do this and why we love to do this. And that makes the show that much more fun because we get to come in and talk about it.
That's right, and we're the official video home of Fast Track. We got weekly content from Millbridge Speedway, now from Cherokee Speedway as well. Tons of content from all the Ultimate Series, and
hashtag more short tracks.
Hashtag more short tracks. Excited for the All-American 300 this weekend.
Zach, are you going?
I am not.
Where are you at this weekend?
He's like a dirt special. I think you're going to a dirt track.
No, I think, and as with all schedules in racing, they are subject to change. I believe the plan is Orange County again, actually.
Orange. Awesome. Oh, SMRS. Like I said,
PRA opener.
Yeah, PRA and SMRS.
Yes.
I hope to see. I hope to see. Are modifieds running? I'm pretty sure modifieds are running Orange County.
If only we didn't have like 17 computers on the set here to be able to look this stuff
right.
up.
Well, if I sat here and looked it up, it'd be awkward because I'd be staring at a computer screen and not talking.
Or you'd be awkwardly staring at me off camera.
Well,
and still talking.
Well, like that's why I look at you. I mean, I don't know.
He's playing you out. He doesn't want to hear your excuse.
You're not supposed to look at the camera unless you're talking to people at home. Either way, I think it's time to go home. It's time for go home. I'm worn out. I got to go build race seats. Zach, you got to go write stories. Mark's got to go do whatever it is that Mark does. Thanks for tuning in on the Morning Bullring this morning for episode 14. We'll see you for number 15 next Monday. Thanks, guys.